What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Yes, indeed, we are in fact in the Fenix A320 yet again. I couldn't put it down. I wanted to do maybe one more flight with the yoke, whether it be the TCA yoke or maybe we do some 737 stuff. I just couldn't help myself. We had to get back in the Fenix. I've been looking at this airplane, everybody posting screenshots in the Discord, so I had to get back in it. And here we are yet again in a lovely Viva Air Colombia livery, sitting next to a LATAM Colombia over there. That's awesome. Good to see you. That's a live traffic over there. So we're going to take this puppy from Panama City over to Rio Negro or Medellin, depending on how you want to get there. Kind of, so the airport splits both the towns. So you've got Medellin on the west. Rio Negro is just to the southeast of the airport. SKRG is where we will be flying into. I am aware of the airport that is in Medellin that accepts smaller traffic. Might just have to set up another BAE 146 stream in there coming up here pretty soon. But there's a couple things I want to talk about today. Number one, we're going to talk about terrain, the terrain clearance floor, JipWiz as we fly into high terrain. We're going to see how the Fenix has this simulated, and we're going to look at some of the displays on the ND and all that. So that'll be good. It's a relatively shorter flight, so we're going to take our time getting off the gate and getting things going. We're only doing one leg today, one sector, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And if we have time, we're going to talk about one of my becoming one of my new favorite subjects to talk about in the Discord, apparently, is, and I'm dubbing him the quote-unquote AvSim guy, who loves to just rant about things that it's got me scratching my head here in a couple things, and I've already talked about it in the Discord with some of you guys, so we'll talk about that once we get airborne. But let me do some quick shout-outs to the members that are in chat. Herman, good to see you, sir, from the Netherlands. That's a long way away, sir. Welcome aboard the stream. Fubar, always a pleasure. Welcome. Christian, good to see you, my friend. Flight Force 77, good to see you, man. And your stick is finally shipping. That is awesome. You're going to absolutely love it. I'm rocking the negative 14% curve still on both sides, and I think it is really good. I haven't changed it. I'll look forward to your impressions when you get that. Andrew, Counter-Strike 219, good to see you, sir. Commander GNR Hoffman, always a pleasure. Theory DeBell, good to see you. Al W, greetings. Greetings, sir. We're going to go buy groceries. Hey, I was going to go get groceries too, but I decided, hey, I told the wife, why don't y'all go get groceries? I'm just going to head to the office. Good to see you, Al. Nice day in Texas today. Nice and cool. And from, who else we got? Juan Andres Pina Panilla. Probably just destroyed that. What is up, man? Good to see you, sir. Marco Stevenhainer, Matt Warren, Nikhil, good to see you. Robinson J. Santana, Digital Merc, Paul Shoesmith, and Chuck Blake already checked in. What is up, guys? Welcome aboard. Here we are. We're back in the MPTO scenery that is pretty nice, other than the one double runway. I don't know what's going on with that. I will be happy to say that I did do some testing on the Rudder Authority on touchdown, and I will say that I think I do know exactly what the problem is. It's that nose gear being off the ground, and maybe it's not so much that the rudder has zero effectiveness, it's just not enough, and I think that might be a Microsoft thing. So anyway, the music is done. It's time to go to work. Are you guys ready to get this show on the road? Because I think I am absolutely ready myself. Why is it so quiet in the sim? Oh, you know what? We don't have any sim sounds on. There we go. Sorry about that, y'all. We got the sim sounds on. I gotta say, the weather, I say it every time we load a stream. I was literally sitting right here while the stream was counting down, and it got all gray. A little bit of rain moved in, and now it's clear. It's moved off to the field to the west over there, and now it's stopped raining. I love the weather in the sim. 10 for 10. Okay, here we go. Let's get into the cockpit and get this thing fired up here. Running the latest version of the airplane. Jeremy, I am indeed. I'm running the latest version with the updated performance, and it seems to be pretty good. Much better than it was. I mean, my system is pretty beefy, although it did take it down when I first started flying it. But what helped me tremendously was the switching the rendering to the GPU of my 3090. So that seems to have helped me out tremendously. But let's go ahead and get this thing fired up here, shall we? To the overhead, 25.5 volts or greater. That's good. We'll go battery 1. Battery 2 will come online. And then we'll go right into the external power. We'll let the airplane boot up. I do want to make a note. So the last stream I did in this airplane, we had the APU auto shutdown. That was not a fault. That was an improper handling of the aircraft by yours truly. So the airplane was not on ground power like I thought it was. It was running on the APU, and I shut the batteries off, and the APU auto shut down, which is a correct behavior. of the airplane, but it was improper handling on my part. I thought that the GPU was still connected. Pro tip, if you're going to do the battery test, the GPU has to be connected to the aircraft or else it's going to shut down on you, as you all saw. Now, the airplane dumped all the data and stuff. That's an old thing. In new airplanes now, you can lose ground power completely there for a little bit, and when you reboot, it should have your MCDU status saved. I don't actually know what the limitation is on how long it saves all the information that you put in the box, but I know it doesn't drop it immediately. So I just thought I would share that with you guys. It was interesting. Looking back at the stream, I was like, how did I get an auto shutdown on the APU? And then I looked up and I looked at the overhead, and yes, indeed, that was the problem. So Jeff said it's going to be 108 in Austin. Oof. That's, Jeff, that's brutal. I think it's like, I don't know, 75, 80 degrees out here, a little bit of rain moving in North Texas, but it's a beautiful day here. So let's continue on the overhead. Continuing up, we don't really need the dome lights, not doing much for us here. Let's go up the left-hand side of the overhead shot. A crew supply will come on, ground control will come on. That's going to record all the cockpit communication prior to engine start. CVR test. There it is. And up to our ADIRS panel that apparently is no longer installed in any 320s if you read AVSIM, which is interesting because probably the last month I've flown, maybe a handful of airplanes with this IR panel. So it is what it is. We're going to go status position 1. We got a time to TTM, time to alignment, or whatever that means. I can't remember. It was 6 minutes ago. On bat light has extinguished. That means the test is complete. The IRs have the ability to go to battery power should we need it. And continuing on the overhead flow here, we're going to just check our external lights. We'll put this in position 1, off, auto on the no smoking signs. Emergency exit lights will be armed. The landing elevation is an auto, pack fault lights out, that is normal. Electrical looks good, fuel pumps are off, quick fire test. Number 2. And Phantom already did the APU, so we're going to skip that up the right-hand side, and we'll put this in aft. In case there's any animals back there, going to Medellin, and top of the overhead panel looks good. Over to the center pedestal. While we're here, let's just do the, actually, you know what somebody said? Let's go config, random failures. We're going to put them on all with realistic stores default. Somebody said that resets every time that you fly. Now, just a bug with the airplane, so make sure if you do want to have realistic failures on that you do have that set. I guess it resets now. Let's see, hold on, give me a second here. My wife just texted me, said, do I need anything? Do we need anything? Do we need coffee? We might need some coffee. I guess it's a short leg. I think we'll be all right. Let's go back in. Alex Hensley, thank you so much for joining the channel, sir. Exclamation point welcome for your new perks on the channel. Always a pleasure having new members join on the channel. I appreciate you guys. Exclamation point welcome will get you all the information you need to know. I think Nightbot is here. Yes, it is. All right, flight and knit. Let's pull this from SimBrief. Christian, coffee anytime. I know, anytime. Let me say, unless she's getting some. We'll see. We won't make her have to do a special trip. We'll see if she's going to get coffee. If she's going to get coffee, maybe she can swing by. But all right, a knit request. We're going to let that do its thing. Rest of the center pedestal here. We're really not supposed to do the MCDU yet. We're just doing the pedestal. Everything looks good there. Let's go ahead and check our engines are good. Hydraulics are good. Pressurization is in auto barely. It looks like that is good there. Brake is off. 2000 on the squawk. Beautiful. Okay, that is all set up. Now we can just start plugging away at the box. Let's do a little bit of an initialization here. Well, what do we got? Off time is 45. We should start boarding. Let's try to stay realistic here. Captain, are you good to board? Yeah, we're good to go ahead and start boarding. So we'll go to ground services. Hopefully we're not going to have any issues today. I have it set so it doesn't auto disconnect. Please don't auto disconnect. But let's see what we're taking today. We got 110 people going to Colombia, 3,300 pounds of cargo, and 13,500 pounds of fuel. Relatively light load. Let's go ahead and start loading. We'll do a real time, 18 minutes only to load this aircraft up. You need food. You're waiting at the avionics shop getting a 345 fix. Nice, man. Hello from Argentina. Can't wait till you get down here. Javier, I'm on my way, man. I'm on my way. Thank you for joining the stream, sir. All right. Mike, Papa, Tango, Oscar. Oh, that's already in there. What am I doing? We are Viva Air Colombia, which is VVC, I believe. That's what I filed anyway, which is going to be Viva 357. What is SKCC? Is that Cartagena? I don't remember what that. I think that might be Cartagena. That's our alternate. Cost index, we're going to go at 75. Sounds fine. What did we file for top altitude? We filed 350. That is set. And IRS init, align on ref, confirm, return. And somebody asked about this. I don't remember what the question was, but we'll put that in there. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference or not. That's kind of a FMS2 thing, seeing that. Unless it's a Thales, or unless it's a Thales thing. Might be a Thales thing. All right. For the departures, we don't have one filed. But we got to look at that. We got to look what we got going on here. So let's go to our Jeppesen. Maximo, what's going on, man? He says, what is tropo? That stands for tropopause. What does it do? I always wonder. So the reason you care about the tropopause is the temperature above the tropopause will increase with altitude instead of decrease. So that's why we plan for tropopause, especially long-haul flights. That makes a big difference. You know, short flights like this one, less than 2 hours, it's going to make absolutely zero difference for the most part, and barring some crazy weather phenomenon. But the reason we care about it is as you go up in altitude, temperature cools, right? Except once you get above the tropopause, then the inverse is true. Richmond, welcome back to Private Pilot, sir. Glad to have you on board. All right, let's pull this from SimBrief. Tocumen International. Departures. I think we want to do 3 left. That takes us out to Acton. We're going to Trilla. What do we got on the RNAV for 3 right? RNAV 3 right, we can do that. That will take us out to Trilla, up to 5,000. That's one we're going to plan on. We're going to plan on the RNAV, RNP 3 right departure procedure. What is the this is RNAV GNSS, which would be going to the right. Nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to do the RNAV 3 right out to Trilla. So we're going to go MPTO departure, 3 right. I guess before we do that, we should check what the weather is, right? Do you prefer the iCast showing EPR? Honestly, it makes almost zero difference. I see them both. You know, the Neo's got N1s too. The only EPRs are the IAE engines. Because I like IAEs better, I guess I like EPR better, but honestly, half the time I don't even realize until I go to match the throttles up on the takeoff roll. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it's not 50%. It's because it's either 1.05 EPR or 50%. So as I'm spooling the thrust levers up, that's when I realize, oh yeah, we have N1s, or oh yeah, it's EPR. Because the EPR gauges, you'll move them a lot less. So like you'll move the EPR donut to like right about here, whereas if you're on the 50% N1, it's actually up here. So this will move differently depending on which engine you have on the aircraft. But it's the same, essentially. It's almost identical output. It's just a different way to look at it. No, Xana, thank you for the 14 ZAR. I have no idea what those are. I apologize, but thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate it. It says, hi, Captain. Hope you're well. Got a question. Well, Nikosana, go ahead and fire away, sir. Go ahead and fire away. All right, 3 right, RNP 3 right is what we're going to put in the box. Insert, and that takes us right to Trilla. That looks good. Going into Medellin, we're going to do the Nemesis 1 Alpha for the ILS Zulu 1. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to do the full procedure, because I told the story on this where I got absolutely discombobulated because I had an FO do an interesting thing to me here on the approach. What approach was it? I believe it's the ILS. Is it the Yankee or the Zulu that requires a PT? I think it's the Yankee. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's the Zulu. We're going to do the ILS Zulu because that requires a procedure turn, and we're going to do the full procedure turn here in the Phoenix. We're going to see how it handles it. A lot of high terrain. This will be a good topic of discussion when we start our arrival. We'll look at the terrain and kind of what we're looking for on the airplane and what you need to be cautious of when you start flying in these high altitude or high elevation areas. So the arrival was, what was it? Nemesis. Am I looking at this wrong? Oh, Nensa. Nensa. It's probably not. Oh, that's what it was. It's just an RNAV. So the Nensa, here it is. Or Nenis, I don't know. Nenny basically takes us to Don 2, which is fine. As long as we get to Don 2, we'll be fine. So we're going to do the ILS Zulu into Don 2. So ILS Zulu off the... This is an old arrival. The Neen 1 Alpha. And we're going to approach via Orange. Let me just double check. Let me double check. Kelmo, welcome to Private Pilot, sir. Glad to have you on the channel. Exclamation point welcome for your new perks on the channel. Really appreciate that. Yes, we are going to do it from Rio Negro, because that will draw the hold. So we're going to have to do a little bit of messing around here. Let's look at this. So blah, blah, blah comes down. Okay, we got 2 RNGs, which is what we want, because we want to do the PT because it is required. And it looks like it's already drawn it out for us. It's already drawn it out for us. So that's what we're going to do. That looks good. It looks confusing, I know, but we're going to go ahead and do that. I want to get back to that question. Mr. NK Osana said I had an IDG 1+2 oil overheat. Ouch, that's a big one. And a generator 1+2 fault after starting the engines. I take these are no-go items. What would cause a type of fault? That is definite no-go item. IDG 1 and 2 and generator 1 and 2. Something went wrong where that's very rare. You basically popped both generators and both IDGs. The famous HOT-LOP acronym, or high oil temperature, low oil pressure, is the only time that you would generally press the IDG disconnect push button. That would be what you got, and that would be when you would press the button. When you disconnect that, it is no longer reconnectable. Maintenance has to do it. So definitely a no-go item. I have no idea why you got it, unless you just had random faults on and you really got a doozy. But I hope that kind of answers your question. Definitely no-go item there. That's a big one. Couple other things coming in here. Aka Random Pilot, thank you so much for the $20 super sticker. Thank you so much. Glad to have you on board. Thank you for your continued support, sir. Welcome. All right. If we keep chatting here, I will never get this airplane filed or loaded up here. So secondary, initialize. We're going to do a quick return, MPTO. Let me stop chatting here just for a minute. Secondary, arrival. If we come back, we'll come right back around 3 right. That's fine. Secondary, perf. We don't care about any of this until the approach phase. I'm not going to look up the DA. We'll put 200 in the DH, 0 for 0 on the wind. Temperature is 23. And altimeter is 29901. 29901. Set. That is good. I don't think I have anything to hard tune just yet. I'm going to put TUM in there because I know that VOR is how we did that arrival. So TUM is in there in case we need it. In the progress page, we will put Mike Papa Tango Oscar. Give us a quick and dirty GPS. And net B is set and standing by. All right, so let's go ahead and get the rest of the airplane set up. It is high terrain. We'll have terrain mode on my side. We don't have any ATC, so I'm going to set our top altitude at flight level 350. Constraint mode. VOR is set, and our fuel 13.5 is on board, and it is balanced. So let's go to the overhead. Let's get our fuel tank pumps on, get our seatbelt sign on, and let's input that fuel load of 13.5 in the block number. Boom, that is set. We're catching up to it. We can get rid of that now. And last thing though, let's see what the message is here. Received messages, a load sheet, prelim, That's fine. We're gonna just, all we care about is the final load sheet. We really don't care about the prelim. All right, that is good. How long do we have till departure? We're off blocks at 45. At 35, we can get out of here. So at 25, we could start the APU. We don't need any of this. Let's pull up the perf data page, and let's do a sync live weather. We're gonna do 3 right. We're gonna use wet numbers. Optimum flaps. Yes, we're going to force Toga. We're going to keep the packs on if we can, and that's already synced. All right, so that's done. Let's go back to the mass and balance and keep track of what's going on here. So everything looks good there. Everything else looks good on the airplane. We don't need these other floodlights. Let's turn them off. I don't know if they take frames or not, but I always turn them off. No point in having the floodlights on there. And the floodlights are not on the overhead. We'll leave the integral lights on the overhead just because you never know if you may need it or not. All right. Oh, look, the sun is coming out. Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right, let's get back to it here. Let's get back to the chat. Apologize for that, guys. I just had to rip through that setup here. Cam, good to see you. I saw you check on earlier there. Thank you so much for tuning into the stream. Always a pleasure to have you on board, sir. Welcome. Have to go to the dentist? I'm sorry, that's a tough one. I hate going to the dentist. Have a good one. Take care, bud. I subscribed long ago and I love your videos. 4 blocks. Well, thank you so much for that. It drew 2 teardrops, the initial teardrop entry and a second one. Key 6, yeah, we're going to look at that a little bit closer when we get en route. Aeronautico says, I'm from Colombia. Thanks for flying in my beautiful country. Beautiful indeed. You're absolutely welcome. I love flying down there. Check it out. Always a pleasure flying in Colombia, except when you guys get those nasty thunderstorms, and then you got to fly me around all this terrain. How to get to the delay line card section on the main EFB. Cam, that's on your main screen, so you just hit the home button here, and your delay allocation card is right here. So you just have to hit the main button there. Let me go here real quick. What is our... We'll just put the departure up here. Actually, you know what? Taxi might be important. 10-9. Dave, I'm glad you're enjoying the content, man. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go to 3 right. Probably Lima out. We never did get the weather, did we? What is the weather? I thought I sent for it. Maybe I didn't. I don't think I did. MPTO. Send it. Does decision height always go in radio or the barrel? Always struggle to know when to use which. Matt Warren, the only time you're going to use the actual decision height in the Airbus is when you're doing something other than a Cat 1 approach. So Cat 2 approach or Cat 3 where you put no DH in the box. Most of the time, you use barrel mins. Oh, looks like I am getting coffee. Excellent. Oh, what I'll say then is, since this is a shorter flight, what we will do, and I want to demonstrate this hopefully to you guys, I was wondering, you know, like, the rudder on the touchdown and all that, and I think I know exactly what's happening. It's not that the rudder does not work with the mains on the ground and the nose up. It's just that it does not have near enough effectiveness to get the nose over. And I can demonstrate this in a 10-knot direct crosswind. You go full left rudder, the airplane still does not react like it should, and you run out of rudder. But then as soon as the nose hits, it veers to that side. So I did a test flight just prior to the stream. I just had a 10-knot direct crosswind. I try to keep the nose off the ground, and when you use that rudder pedal left and right, I was noticing that it would slowly bring the nose over, but it was nowhere near as effective as it is in real life. I mean, if you were to stomp on that rudder, it's pretty dramatic. You could lose control of the aircraft, and I've actually landed the Airbus in winds up to 40+ knots, so, and almost direct crosswind winds that way, because the max demonstrated is 38 knots. That is not a limitation. That's just the maximum demonstrated crosswind. So you can't land the airplane in greater than 38 knots. But let me tell you, as someone who has done it, it is very challenging, and you really have to be on it if you're going to be landing at crosswinds of that speed. Do you know why I have a Cat 2 and not message all the time? Nat, I do not. I have not ran into that one. That could be some type of equipment failure that you haven't fixed that is keeping you Cat 2 only. Am I planning on circling 1-8 at Medellin? I don't think I'm going to circle unless the winds are requiring that. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Receive messages, weather data. All right, 090 at 5. So, yeah, it'll just be a quartering across from there for 3 right. Showers in the vicinity, 8,000. Temperature 27. 1013 is set. 1013 is set down here. And 1013 is over there. Beautiful. All right, we're all pretty much set to go here. There's 2.5. Let's go ahead and fire up the APU. We'll prime that. While that is priming, we can go ahead and start pulling some items from the ground crew. So in the ground services panel, let's go ahead and close the aft door. And they're probably done with the cargo at this point, and they're probably done with the stairs. And we can look down here. We see the flap is open. Let's go ahead and fire up the APU. Best regards from Long Beach, New York. Welcome. Would I ever fly to Dublin? I don't see why not. Chris, it's pretty close. 1013 can be 29901 or 29902. The millibars are actually a larger value than HG. Captain, I think you must land with pedal disconnect for the rudder. Still have effect on the runway. Andres, I tried that as well. I actually pushed this button down, and it still does not act like it should act. You need more authority on the rudder, and your nose should not. Let me put it this way. If you land with a crosswind, and you got the nose, you have rudder input down to keep the airplane longitudinally parallel with the runway. You keep the direction of travel parallel with the runway center line. When that nose wheel comes down, the airplane does not shoot to that side. I promise you. No matter what you do with the pedal disconnect button in the EFB or the pedal disconnect button up here, the nose will still shoot to the on side. At least for me. And I've checked my bindings. I made sure everything else was good. So I know it's not a binding issue. But I will demonstrate this when we get to Medellin if we have time. And my coffee is here, so stand by, folks. I'll give you a juicy wing view here. And I just need XP72 to do a welcome aboard announcement, and I'll be right back with you in about 60 seconds. We're going to have to do a longer flight because I got coffee and lunch. All right. Random Pilot, thank you for the $5 super chat. Sorry, I saw that just before I walked out the door to pick up my coffee. He says, love the work you do. Hope to run into you online. Random Pilot, thank you so much for that kind words and the support. I really appreciate that. Welcome aboard. All right, what are we at? 45 was push. We're ahead of the game, guys. We're actually on a gate hold here, but we can go ahead and disconnect external power at this time. We'll go ahead and get the APU bleed on. It's going to get some conditioning to the cabin. What is the condition back there? 20. Oh yeah, they need some air. So we're going to get the air blowing in the back. In fact, we'll go ahead and turn these down a little bit here. And cockpit to ground. You're cool to pull. Good to pull GPU and the cones. We'll leave that forward door open just a little bit. We can't leave more than 10 early. Typical SOP. You may leave up to 15 early, but let me just make sure everything else is good here. So we are already set for departure. Let's do a quick departure brief. And then we're going to get on our way. Alright, so we're going to taxi out to 3 right for departure. The departure is an RNAV RMP out to the east, which is very simple. We only have one restriction, 220 knots at TC 226. That shouldn't be a problem. That's a max speed, so we can be under that. We'll probably be under that on our climb out to Trilla, which is at or above 5,000 feet. According to our box right now, it says we're going to be Trilla at or above 5. It's in amber, so we should be just fine with making that restriction. There is terrain in all quadrants, so we have the terrain on ND mode. And you can see here that the fault lights have extinguished now that the aircraft is aligned. During the alignment phase, you see the fault light up here. That's because the enhanced part of the JIPWIZ function doesn't know where it is. We'll talk about that a little bit in cruise, about the RCF and the TCF and all that good stuff. But that is good. Terrain is on both sides. If we have to come back around, we'll do a visual backed up with the ILS to runway 3 right as well. That is in the secondary should we need it. We'll do a single engine taxi out. We are light enough. We'll do a single engine taxi out to 3 right. We'll start 1 first. Any questions? No questions. Cool. You have been briefed. I have been briefed. 350 is set. We're waiting on our final numbers, which we still haven't got, right? Which is why I always think this is weird. Like, receive messages. We're still waiting on the load sheet. But what you can do, and I don't know if this is a bug or if they left it intentionally, and I kind of like it this way. I don't know. I could sync the final load sheet right here. So, even though I don't have the final load sheet, we could push off the gate. Theoretically, you wouldn't be able to take off unless you had the final numbers. But we're not flying V-Spirit today. We're just ready to do our own thing. So, final load sheet is synced, and just update the live weather, and we'll do a calculation here. Is there any way the batteries can be charged on the Airbus from either the engines running or APU running? The only way to charge the batteries is with the ground power. Or by generator power. You're testing my knowledge on that one. I'm not sure if I can... You know what? That's a great question. Can I activate a charging cycle with the engines on? We'd have to look. We'd have to look. I think you have to use ground power. I'm not sure. But that wouldn't make sense because they're obviously not discharging the whole flight. So I would say yes. All right, here we go. 113, 35, 35, flaps 1 Toga. So 13, 35, 35. Flaps 1 and Toga. 135, 135, flaps 1, Toga set. Packs will be on. And if I go to the weight and balance page, I can see our final load sheet here. Yeah, you could charge batteries with engine. Yeah, that's duh. Makes obviously. I don't know why I would think differently. Yeah, with the engines running and with the ground power, but you cannot charge them with the APU. So here it says, remember this is on the live figures. So our zero fuel weight is 119.8 and 29.7. 119.8 and 29.7. 119.8 and 29.7 is set. That will give us our final numbers. What do we got here? Extra time. Hey everyone, do you find the landing on the Fenix realistic? I sometimes think it floats too much. To me, it lands like a 320 Neo with sharklets. I don't know if it floats too much, but it has a float like it has sharklets on it. The classic 320s tend to drop out of the sky a little bit quicker when you go right below VREF. I don't want a route reserve on there. Can I clear that out? What if I go 0 for 0? Will you let me clear you out? No. What if I just do /0? Okay, I guess we have to take a route reserve. There we go. I don't know why. Can I do 0.0? There we go. 0.0 route reserve. We don't need that. Alternate, we need 3.4. Now we got proper fuel numbers. Final, I'm not going to land with 30 minutes. I need a minimum of at least 45. Won't let me do it that way. Just give me 3.0. See, now we're chopping into our fuel. See that? See, if you don't make this is garbage in, garbage out here. All these numbers, this is just a simple calculator. Garbage in, garbage out. We only got about 19 minutes extra time if I want to put realistic fuel numbers here. I put 29.5 in the 0 fuel weight CG. That's correct. 29.5 instead of 29.7. Oh. I'll show you guys. I guarantee you it's going to work. I guarantee you she's going to take off just fine. So that is set. Everything else looks good. And I'm ready to push. Are you guys ready to push? Ooh, company message. Load sheet. There it is. We got 110 plus 1, so we took an extra person. And 29.7 is the final. So to make you guys happy, there you go. Because I know someone will clip it and be like, oh my God, this guy doesn't care about realism. All right, accepted. And everything else looks good. But fun fact, it doesn't matter where you put this wheel. If you put this in the green arc here, the airplane's going to take off. And it will land. So, Airbus guy told me that. Airbus engineer said, doesn't matter how much fuel you have in the tanks or whatever he does, you could put this trim wheel wherever you want it. As long as it's in the green band, if you take off, it will take off and it will land. And you'll be totally fine. It'll be in control. Now, it may feel weird. I've flown an airplane. Every now and then you'll take off and the CG is not exactly right. And you'll feel the difference and you'll see the trim wheel start to spin. So, it is what it is. But all right, everything else is good there. And 2,000 on. I'm ready to push. Are you guys ready to push? Let's get out of here. Let's do it. Ground services. Good to close, Captain. Go ahead and connect the tug. Now, will they pull the jet bridge? I think they will. Maybe not. Yes, they will. Gina, I know, I'm just messing with y'all. I just think it's fun. I had to say that because of the recent discussions that we've been having in the Discord about certain people saying certain things. I mean, I'm obviously very sarcastic too. I think everybody needs a sense of humor, and sarcasm and a sense of humor goes a long way. I think that's a lot of the issues that we have in this world are because people can no longer have a sense of humor and can no longer be sarcastic with one another. I think that creates a lot of issues, but yeah, I'm obviously being sarcastic with you guys. I just thought it was funny. All right, cockpit to ground. Why does this say door 1? There he is. All right, door 1 is closed. Now we can turn the beacon on. Before start checklist, 2 or above and below. All right, windows, doors, and slides. Closing arm, beacon on, thrust levers idle, parking brake is off. Transponder is transponder, 4-star checklist is complete. Cockpit to ground. How you doing? Ground to cockpit, walk around complete, doors, hatches closed, ready for pushback. Copy that. Cockpit to ground, brakes released, you are cleared to push straight back. Copy, clear to push straight back. Commencing pushback. Here we go. I disconnected. It disconnected in, yeah, it disconnected. We're good. Brakes are released. Let's light the candle, Steven. Yes, sir. Cam says, do you ever move people around in a lightly loaded airplane? Cam, very rarely. That's a big 7.3 thing. But I will tell you this, Cam, during, like when COVID was real hot and heavy in the 321s, when you only had a couple people, there were a few instances where we had to keep everybody seated. They couldn't change seats until you got airborne. Then you could change your seats. But the thing was, yeah, for weight and balance, depending on the fuel load and the cargo load, there were a couple times where, but that really, if I'm thinking about it, Cam, that's really the only time I've seen that in the Airbus. Now on the Boeing, I've had that come to me where I've had to move my seat because of weight and balance issues. But I think it's less prevalent in the Airbus, probably because it's a superior airframe. Stop with the pushback, stop. You're gonna push us into the dirt. Pushback complete, Captain. Set brakes. Brakes set, clear to disconnect. Show me the pin out front. We're starting number 1. Copy that, have a good day. Here we go. Let's fire it up, shall we? Ignition mode to ignition start. I'm gonna turn up the sounds. Enjoy the Whisperjet startup sounds. Here we go. Someone want to tell me why we're moving backwards during startup? Okay. That is interesting. Please leave me alone. Leave me alone. We're going to do a single engine taxi out like I said. So we're going to go ignition switch for ignition start. We're going to RMU. We will go flaps position 1. Don't you start the engines while pushback in the USA? Yeah, Jonas, we can start them during pushback. Absolutely. I just like to do it in the sim. I like to do it after pushback so we can sit there and focus and listen to the startup sounds. But yeah, we start them during pushback all the time. Alright, yellow electric pump is on, APU bleed is off. We will keep the APU master on for the second engine start so we don't have to do a cross bleed. And our trim was like, what was it, like point something something? It was 0.1 down. Little cheat mode here. This is not how you set the trim anymore. Used to set it but this way. Now you actually set it by this value here because there is no... It's easier to confuse this value. You could actually take off with the wrong trim setting. This is a little bit more straightforward. So like this would be about a 20... This looks like about a 27% CG set right about here. So you can see here's 30, here's 25. There you go. But you can also double check. In fact, that's how I check to see if the FO has set the trim right. Because during our taxi out, when we do the taxi checklist, we go over the trim setting, and it's right after I've checked the flight controls. So if I've just checked the flight controls, guess what page is displayed on the lower ECAM? The flight control page, and I can see I'll verify this digit with what he actually set, but the FO will set the trim based on this wheel here. At least in the US and most common Airbus operators. I think that's a standard thing now since Airbus, because Airbus actually changed that back in the day. You used to use the decimal point, but now you just use the quadrant. All right, here we go. Taxi light is on, brake is off. And we should be on Unicom. That's my bad. 122.8. I'm gonna do a radio check here. Oh, when that's not working, let me set that because we flew the. There we go. Panama City traffic. Viva 357. Gonna taxi a 3 right, Panama City. You guys ready? Let's roll. So we got to make a left turn, which is going to be a little bit interesting. So we got to get moving first because we're turning into the operating engine. All right, well, a little bit of power, please. CFMs, man, they can't move. All right, there's some juice. Now, nice and easy on the left. Or else you can snub it. Or not really snub it, but you can run out of momentum here, turning into the operating engine at low speed. I only know because I've done it. Time to go to Colombia. Santiago, exactly. So you don't trust Phantom's work? Never. Hearing that rattle is just awesome. Something point something.
Welcome to traffic, Medellin Colombia, 305, line up, 3 right,
Ooh. Did he say document traffic? Maybe I'm saying it incorrectly. What terrain LOD do I use? I want to say it's 200. I want to say it's 200, Mustafa. That's the one that really impacts your performance, right? Yeah, because above 200 it really does take the frames. In fact, I normally fly the Fenix with I think 170 or 175 maybe, if it's the setting I'm thinking about. That rattle noise was driving you crazy? Hey, you know you're in an older bird now. Well, they all rattle. A brand new Airbus will rattle. They all rattle. All right, let's go ahead and start engine 2. And I'm not going to be able to look at the overhead while taxiing. Let me get straight here. That's where I need an FO. Phantom, where are you at, man? All right, we're straight up to the overhead. Yellow electric pump is off. APU bleed is on. And you'll hear the APU, or the PTU, excuse me. That's why you single engine taxi on 1, among other reasons. Ignition switch to ignition start. We do have bleed pressure. I'm S-turning over the taxiway, but I'm single pilot, so it's acceptable. Starting 2. Max ground speed, 30 knots. The airplane will tell on you. Greetings from Vancouver. Welcome, Kevin Thomas. Welcome. Oh boy. Let me just taxi the airplane. We already know what it sounds like. Underwhelming. We're headed to 03 right. There he goes. Latam. Oh, I love to see that. Ooh, that looked real quick there on the rotation. But he's off. Engine is still spooling up here. If the Airbus tattles on you, I guess that's why Whiskey November is all going. Oh, yeah.
I think you should do some realistic European operations. That is currently being delayed 5 hours, then taking off without the bags.
Pete S. Bank Angle check right back at you, sir. Thank you for that $6 dono. I've heard there's been some crazy stuff happening over in the European operations right now. I have heard that. I'm sorry. You know, we did do the original tour on this channel. Like, we're in the South America tour right now. The original tour was a 7-hour long haul, 7,000 subscriber special to the European continent. You guys, yeah, I think it's a continent, right? Yeah. Anyway, we did a Euro tour at 7,000 subs. I'm thinking maybe at 30,000. Maybe at 30,000 subs, we should revisit the Euro tour in Microsoft. We'll see. Let's enjoy the South America tour, though. We got a lot to go left, and I'm enjoying it. I'm learning a lot about the countries down here and about different airports and stuff, so I love doing these little tours. Supersonic flushback from Europe. Oh, I will never forget that, food bar. Never forget that. All right, hopefully Phantom started the timer there after he got the Avail light, because you do need a warm-up time on that second engine. And I'm going to just stop and hold short of 3 right here. We'll do the after start. We'll do our flight control checks. We'll do all of that, and then we'll blast off. Man's a pilot, not a geographer. Yeah, I'm very bad at geography. Believe it or not, it is not my strong suit. And it's, I mean, stereotypical American things, you know. Yeah, I know where the U.S. is, and Canada and Mexico. Outside of that, I'm pretty weak on my knowledge. Not even gonna lie. All right, let's do an after start checklist. After start check engine, I saw fuel electric pump is off, rudder trim is 0. After start checks is complete. Flight control check. Here we go. Full up, full down, neutral, full left. I want to see it from over here. Oh, that's cool. Full right, neutral. Do we have the Florence kit? We do indeed. You can see how the ailerons are drooped here. That is the Florence kit installed on this aircraft. Good to see that. And then now we'll check the rudder. So I will hit the pedal disconnect here. And the nose wheel should not turn. And it doesn't. We get full left, or full right, full left, neutral. Turn that back off. That is good. And we're about ready to go. Auto brakes max, takeoff config is checked. On, can't turn that to auto, TARA. Benny, thank you for your continued support, sir. He says next tour, Canada. Ooh, very possible, very possible. We'll have to think about it when we get there. Thank you for your continued support. Vies Lang, thank you so much for your 2-month support, man. Welcome to the stream. Talkie in traffic, Viva 357 gonna line up and wait on 3 right. Talkie. I don't think anybody is coming, so let's go ahead and line it up. Christian will get mad at me. Top bar is on. We'll put these into the extend position, but we won't turn them on, and then we'll put these on. And here we go. Let's roll out. Oh, look at that Avianca coming up behind us. It's so cool. Do I have a stutter when I rotate the camera? Pedro, not normally. I do occasionally get a stutter when I do a 90-degree turn on the ground and and I'm doing it kind of quick. Do turns on the ground, I get a stutter, and I'm not quite sure why. Okay, we got 400 people watching, and thank you so much for tuning in for the takeoff. We only have 114 likes. We're gonna need to bump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Give me, can I get 200 likes out of you guys before takeoff? Can we get 200 likes? I'm going to sit here. I'm going to burn up some Jet A. We're going to spool them up 50. Uh-oh. What happened? Everything went out? Stream is back? Okay, I don't know what happened there, guys. Sorry about that. Interesting. Lined up on runway 0033. Okay. Spool them up 50. Here we go. 200 blowing away. Guys, hit the yoga buttons. The yoga buttons. Yoga's in chat. Thank you for the likes. Here we go. Document traffic. Viva 357 departing 0033 right. Document. Oh yeah.
Traffic,
Man, Toga, SRS runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. 100 knots. Check. V1. Rotate. Positive brake. Gear up. Navin. Hold that nose in there. Don't let it drop. There we go. Flyby. That's the best I got. There's acceleration altitude. Let's go ahead and lower the nose a little bit. Wait for the positive trend in airspeed. For those that are unfamiliar, the positive trend is this trend arrow right here. With that trend arrow, then I'm going to go ahead and start walking the thrust back. Drop it into the MCT D10 first here with terrain. I like to kind of delay it. And now we can go right into the climb D10. Thrust, climb, auto thrust. Here comes the right turn. There is S speed, flaps 0 after takeoff checklist. We're going to fly off the flight director a little bit. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Whoa, easy on the push down a little bit too far there. Typically, when you go flap 0, you're going to have to push down a little bit on the stick. Oh, we have that speed restriction of 220 knots. Let's go ahead and comply with that. See the airplane trying to get us to pitch up to it. We are very light. I don't know why the speed brake was... I think I had a binding issue. I saw a speed brake over there. I mean, we are very light today, so we're ripping. We're back down to 220 plus 10. That's acceptable for Panama radar standards. All right, there's our restriction. Now we can go ahead and lower the nose. I do have a detent for my throttle, exclamation point throttle, and it's not really a detent per se. It is a magnet, which functions as a detent. And I enjoy it very much. I'm going to bring that down so you guys can see the screen a little bit better, but let's enjoy some views out of here, shall we? Javier, you're out of the loop with the yoga instead of toga. Way back when this channel first started, a friend of mine, at least he's my friend, I hope I'm his friend too, Phantom 320, who flew the Airbus. We actually flew the Airbus at the same company. He was trying to have a serious conversation about takeoff and toga, and I guess he was using his phone on autocorrect, and he kept saying yoga instead of toga, and it just kind of stuck. So now all we do is yoga on takeoff. Here comes 10,000 feet. We'll go ahead and clean it up. Lights are coming off. That's coming off. That's coming off. Oops. And a forward call. "10 for 10 on the wing view." I agree, Bob Dylan. I agree. this airplane. Okay, so we should be accelerating to 330 knots there, so that looks good. Oh, I'm getting that glitch again. Look, 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 this is a bug. I've seen this before. I think this is a weather reload. I don't know why. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'm trying to recover the airplane. This is a glitch before. I've seen this happen. Hopefully it will stable out. I'm gonna go flight directors off. Autopilot is disconnected. We're gonna let it stabilize here. I'm just gonna stabilize. Do a barrel roll. Okay, I don't know why that's happening. I have an idea. I think I have an idea though. Oh no, I don't want to go Trilla. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go DACMO. Insert. Okay, I think we're okay now. So we'll rebuild the automation. Flight directors. Autopilot. Manage nav. Pull for open. No, she doesn't want to do it. Okay. Autopilot off. I'm going to try something. We're going to go... I'm going to try something here. Give me a second, guys. I'm troubleshooting. I'm going to exit. Fly live. We're going to turn the flight directors back off. I've had this one other time. One other time I've had this. Okay, so just going to stabilize it. Let me just check something in the MCDU here. I don't want to see thrust levers. I want to just see. I want to make sure we're not getting any crazy. We're not getting anything crazy in the box here. We're isolating bugs here. So when I roll the airplane, see how delayed the attitude indicator is? So something is not right here. It's me, ADR12 off. Let's go ahead and set standard. Standard set. Thrust lock. I gotta move the thrust levers. That's me. Auto flight, auto thrust off. Put them back in the climb detent. So now I'm testing it. Okay, so the roll, you see how the roll? Put you in live cam. And I'm trying to isolate anything else that could be causing this. The standby attitude indicator is working just fine, I think, right? No, see how it's jittery too. Try swapping the displays. Let's try that. I'm gonna try that. Let's try the render displays on CPU. Apply. Okay. Oh, and that might just crash the sim. At least I think it did. It did not. We don't need terrain on ND anymore. Wasn't anything to do with air data. This could potentially be a problem, folks. Let me go back to GPU. So, hand off the stick. Here we go. Now, my question is, are the flight controls actually work? Yeah, the flight controls are doing this. I'm hands off the stick right now. I'm just completely letting the airplane do its thing. Alright, now that's actually, we're having a hard time recovering. I'm having a hard time controlling the airplane. Okay, that seems to have made the problem worse. Let's go back to NVIDIA on the settings, apply. Looking at the, let's see, the utilization, everything's fine. CPU is at 50, GPU is at 50%. GPU is at 50% here with the displays on GPU. Wing view, immediate call to Fenix support. So the ailerons aren't moving out here. Well, did it stop now? Oh, I think we got it. Well, maybe not. Thrust climb, open climb, nav. We might have fixed it. I don't know what fixed it. It seems to be stable now. This seems to be smooth. Let's go ahead and leave that seatbelt sign on. So I've had this one other time, and it was when the Fenix first released. So I don't think it's a new bug. I don't think it's a new bug. If you guys remember, I think it was either my first or second stream in the Fenix. We had that exact same bug. It did not last as long as that one did. But it seems to have settled down, and I have no idea what it could be. GPU usage is at 55%. CPU is at 40%. Everything is fine on the computer side of things. And I turned off Fly Live. That didn't seem to fix the problem right away, so it wasn't Fly Live. I turned off the hand cam and the captain cam, so it wasn't anything with OBS. It seems to be fine now. Hey, we're rocking to Colombia. We were just dancing. Jeff, you said it's never happened to you, so it looked like it was out of sync in the control loop. Kaz, that's kind of what I was thinking. It was like a correction because this was telling to me when we saw that happen. I just saw these were just going full deflection back and forth out of sync. So I don't know what that was all about, but it seems to have fixed itself. Let's enjoy our flight to Colombia, shall we? Wow. All right. After takeoff, checklist is done. Everything else is done. And we're climbing on out. I'm actually going to slow us down a little bit here. Let's go perf. Let's do like, what is a 15 going to give us? Oh boy. Yeah, 300. Let's do a cost index 15. We'll save a little bit of gas. We'll chill out a little bit. It was simply dancing to Colombia. Yeah, it was. It was 100%. It was 100%. Dancing to Colombia. Okay. We seem to have fixed it. Or I didn't fix it. It seems to have fixed itself. The show must go on. The show must go on. Stop texting me, people. Alright. I'm scared to turn the seatbelt sign off. We're going to leave it on for safety purposes. Would you divert in real life? Absolutely. If you had that situation going on and you recovered it, you would absolutely divert. All right, sorry guys, I was completely ignoring a lot of you there in the chat. We could continue the show as programmed. You know what? I'm feeling extra generous today. Maybe even after this flight, maybe we should do another leg. We'll see. But let's continue on here. Colombian lunch. But yeah, here we go. The airplane likes my music. Jeremy, the airplane loves your music. Guys, shout out Jeremy Harvey for that countdown music in the beginning. I might have to play it again here. I might have to use it. I have to do it on the second leg here. I might have to play it again. It's just so good. So good, Jeremy. Thank you so much, man. Plane is all hopped up on the Colombian flake. Aviator trap, jeez. Oh, man. All right. I spilled my drink on my shorts, I swear. Landing winds say crab. Sim says nope. Yep, Al. Indeed. All right. I think we're safe. It's a short flight. Turn the seatbelt sign off. Let's let them roam. They're going up. They're up on top. All right, let's talk a little bit about terrain and what the airplane gives us protection-wise. So, on the overhead, we've got a GPWIS panel. GPWIS stands for Ground Proximity Warning System. Now, most modern aircraft, in fact, I think, well, I wouldn't say in fact, but I'm pretty sure a lot of modern aircraft have something that is also called Enhanced GPWIS, or EGPWS. While our panel does not say E, the Airbus is equipped, this one is equipped, with EGPWS, which is an enhanced function. So, before we talk about the enhanced function, we must first talk about the basic function of GPWIS, basic modes 1 through 5. And to dumb it down to sim level, I don't like using that term. To simplify it down to sim level, you get your basic alerts, you know, too low terrain, you have flap alert, you have a sink rate alert, too low flaps, too low gear, too low terrain. Those are all basic functions of GPWIS. And if you want to get technical, the landing gear mode is actually mode 4 of the 1 through 5 basic modes. Smooth Ops, thank you for the upgrade to commercial pilot, sir. Glad to have you on board. Thank you so much for that. So, you know, all the typical alerts that y'all get is from, it's probably either your gear is too low or you're too low for your gear, you forgot to lower the gear, or your sink rate's too high, any of that. That's all the basic stuff. That's been on a lot of airplanes for a very long time. But what has happened over the course of the years and the progression of aviation and aviation safety, we've now come out with the enhanced GPWIS function, which is I want you to think about, and I'm going to get the technical term for you. It's is it the TCF, the terrain clearance floor. Thank you. The terrain clearance floor is think of it as kind of like a 4D bowl or area where the airplane knows geographically where you are, and it knows where you're flying into. So like we're flying into Medellin today, it knows where the airport is, and it has built a database of a safe envelope around that airport point. Now, Blue Bear, no, I didn't. Get out of here with that. So if the airplane needs to build a base or a floor around an airport, what does it need? Well, it needs a geographic position to begin with. That's why when you do your pre-flight on the overhead, when the aircraft is not aligned, you will see a fault light in the terrain push button. Because if the airplane doesn't know where it is, it's going to alert you saying, hey, I can't build the enhanced part of this GPWIS. If you're flying into some airport that's not in the database, you're going to get some GPWIS alerts. So you want to be aligned. You want to make sure the airplane knows where it is. You got to have the position of the aircraft aligned in the MCDU. You got to have your IDERs aligned, and then this fault light will go away as it builds the TCF around wherever you're flying. Now, the too low terrain, that is something, that's basically what we just talked about, the terrain floor. What's the difference between caution terrain and too low terrain? The too low terrain, Jeremy, the too low terrain means you've entered the terrain clearance floor, that kind of that geographic area that's been built up in the box. You've entered that. Area. So there's another let me say, safe zone around the runway. It's called the runway field clearance floor, or the RCF, and it builds. This happens when you're flying in airports like Narino in Colombia when it's on the plateau, or maybe you're flying into, I'm trying to think of airports on plateaus, like Sedona's one, maybe Guatemala City where you're coming in. So it actually has to build a clearance zone next to the runway. That's part of the RCF, or the runway clearance floor. It's additional protection envelope for runways that are on different elevations or significantly more than the surrounding terrain, such as landing on a plateau. If you descend into the RCF, you will also get the too low terrain oral and visual alert. So what does this mean for us, like as simmers and flying around? Basically, we don't really care about which alert we get. We just want to make sure that we don't get any terrain alerts. And I think there might be some kind of, I don't know if it's a bug or maybe there's some kind of differentiating database for what the Fenix uses, because I've had sometimes where we come into land and I get the too low terrain, and that's pretty much on short file. And I feel like there's some type of, maybe a database conflict with the RCF, or the runway clearance floor, and we're going to pay attention to that as we fly into Medellin today. We're going to see if we get any oral alerts, because I've done this approach multiple times in real life, and you do not get those alerts if you're on profile and you're obviously in a safe spot. So we're going to pay particular attention to that as we fly into Medellin today. But just know that the enhanced mode of JipWiz is indeed part of your GPS position, and it needs to know where you are in order to function properly. Can we have Fly Live back, please? We can try it. I'm gonna turn it back on. Too low terrain basically means you're on the highway to the danger zone. Cam, exactly. Let's see if we can get Fly Live back on. And if, we'll see, if Fly Live disrupts the flight, then we will know it has something to do with it. Can you talk about the terrain escape maneuver? Jeremy, that's a very good topic to bring up. So terrain escape maneuver is a memory item on the Airbus. And what Jeremy is referring to is when you get one of those too low terrain or caution terrain, how do you promptly react? So on the Airbus, depending on who you work for, there's actually not that many memory items, but the CFIT, or the the terrain avoidance maneuver, is one of those maneuvers that I'm pretty sure every airline has memorized everywhere, because it is exactly that. It is an extremely critical maneuver that you only have limited time to successfully complete the maneuver, so you keep the airplane from smashing into the ground. Now, in the Airbus, it's very easy to do this maneuver, and we train every time we go to the sim. We do this maneuver, but the proper technique, if you get one of those too low terrain calls and you're not anticipating it, say you're flying at night in the mountains and all of a sudden you're getting too low terrain, in real life there's an automatic memory item. And in the Airbus, what we do is we go autopilot off, and we go Toga. Well, and you're basically going to be, when I say autopilot off, it's either going to be because you're yanking back on the stick, but theoretically, autopilot off, Toga, and full aft stick. Basically, it's a simultaneous maneuver. You're pulling a Top Gun. You're going full back on the stick, full forward on the thrust levers, and that's going to get the airplane in its maximum performance envelope. And because we have fly-by-wire and we have protections, we have angle of attack, we have stall protection, the airplane will maintain the absolute maximum AOA that it can give you if you hold that stick full aft, and you do not have to worry about stalling. Now, also in normal law, you have G protection as well, so you don't have to worry about over G'ing or over stressing the aircraft when you're in normal law. So it's kind of a fun maneuver to do in the sim, and if you ever have to do one, it's actually pretty violent. The airplane will really start to rip on you. You'll start climbing excess of 6,000 feet per minute, of course, depending on load and environmental conditions. But it's a maneuver that can be very violent, but it's one that you have to do to successfully complete. Now, you also want to make sure that your speed brakes are retracted. Now, after the incident in Cali, Colombia, with that American 7.5, post-incident, FAA came out and said that you need to start having retractable spoilers. So the Airbus, even if you had the speed brake out, so you had the speed brake at half or full, and then you went full toga and full aft stick, the Airbus would automatically retract the speed brakes for you to help you get better performance on your climb out and avoid the terrain. So, but that's a good question, Jeremy. And in the sim, what we get most of the time, and at least when I would do this to people, is I would actually give them a TCAS first. So I'd give them a TCAS that said, hey, descend, descend, descend. So what does the pilot do? They got to take autopilot flight directors off, and they pitch the airplane down to comply with the TCAS RA. Well, little do they know that they're doing a descend maneuver right into a steeping or a mountain coming up on them, and then it goes immediately from a TCAS into a CFIT recovery maneuver, which, so you're going from forward stick to like, oh my gosh, time to recover. Full aft, full thrust, and up you go. Yeah, a Samtech cookie or a Samtech cookie, yeah, it does the terrain escape maneuver. I'm pretty sure, I don't know, but almost every modern commercial jet has automatic speed brake retraction. I would imagine the Boeing is the same way. I don't know personally. I don't have a solid answer for you, but I'm pretty sure it does. But that, when you look back at the accident that happened in Cali, I think it was Cali, Colombia, right? The 757, those gentlemen, they were off course. They didn't know where they were. They did not have the E part of JIPWIZ. They did not have an enhanced JIPWIZ. At least I don't, or did they have eJIPWIZ? I think they did have eJIPWIZ. I can't remember if they had eJIPWIZ or not. Either way, it's irrelevant. They got a terrain alert, and they were on a descent. They were at a position. They thought they were somewhere else when they weren't, and they had the speed brakes full out on the 7.5. The terrain goes off. The pilot did the correct maneuver, full thrust. They pulled back on the yoke, started climbing, and the 7.5, being the beast that it is, it still climbed like a rocket with the speed brakes fully out. Unfortunately, it was not enough, and they clipped the top of the mountain, and it killed, I don't know how many people. But the thing that the NTSB looked back on that crash, and they said that if the speed brakes had been retracted, the airplane would have cleared the mountain. They would have had enough time to clear it, and everybody would have survived. And that's kind of where you get that auto speed brake retract thing. But again, that's aviation lessons are learned in blood, right? We do things, we have memory items for a reason. Check speed brakes retract. Just because I'm anticipating the Airbus to retract the speed brakes for me doesn't mean I'm going to assume that they've automatically retracted. We always got to verify. So autopilot off, toga, full aft stick, verify speed brakes are up, and bank neutral. Why is bank neutral an important part of that? You want to have maximum lift efficiency, right? Now, obviously, if you can see the terrain and you can steer around it, you're going to steer around it. But maximum lift efficiency comes with wings neutral or wings level. That way, both wings are producing the maximum amount of lift when they're level. How does an airplane turn? If you think about it, this aileron, when it deflects up, what else deflects up on this wing? Spoilers, right? What do spoilers do? They spoil lift. So in order to get the airplane to drop its wing, this aileron, when it comes up, it's actually killing a certain amount of lift on this wing. And if you were to draw lift vectors out on the wing here, you had arrows pointing up here in neutral. As soon as you start a roll to the right, in this particular case, since we're looking at the right wing, the lift vectors would actually decrease on this wing because it is now producing less lift than the opposite wing, which is now producing more lift because this is actually pushing, this aileron has actually gone down. So things like that you got to take into account. I mean, that's why we double check, right? Spoilers, if they're up, check retract, make sure they're up, and then make sure wings level if you can help it, because 10 feet can be the difference between everybody surviving and everybody dying. Even less than 5 feet, a foot maybe, depending on what you strike. So very important that you have the whole maneuver memorized and you successfully complete the maneuver at the first sign that you get a CFIT or a terrain alert. Would flaps help? Javier, that's an interesting question, and that's going to be more dependent upon the airframe and the wing design that you're flying. Theoretically, Javier, you're correct. If you have flaps one out, your airplane, your wing in the Airbus, now we're talking Airbus specifically, is more efficient than having no flaps out. it has the capability to produce more lift. But when you get a terrain alert, the amount of time that you have to react is going to be much. You don't have time to be sitting there waiting for the flaps to come out. So, but to piggyback on that question, a stall, if you stall below 20,000 feet, we do extend flaps 1 because that will help recover the stall. So your question is not wrong in that flaps would help or would they not help. It's just when it comes to terrain avoidance, it's an immediate action maneuver. We don't have time to be extending flaps. It's full thrust, full aft stick, wings level, make sure that speed brake is retracted and get away from the ground. But that's a good question. Cali didn't have enhanced ground proximity warning system, would have changed the outcome because they would have had significantly more time to respond, plus 30 plus seconds versus 14 seconds. Thank you, Engineer Gaming. I kind of thought that, but I didn't know for sure, so I didn't want to say either way. But that makes perfect sense. So with the enhanced ground proximity warning, you get more time to react. And just like Engineering Gaming here is pointing out, 30 plus seconds with an enhanced feature because it knows ahead of time because it's using a geographic position of the aircraft instead of using a radar altimeter to tell you, hey, you're about to hit the ground. It actually knows geographically where you are, your position in space, and it can alert you sooner than you can if you're just using basic radouts or whatever the system that aircraft has to trigger a CFIT warning. So thank you for your comment there, Engineer Gaming. Thank you for that. But yeah, 30 plus seconds. So even if they had so if they had Egypt Whiz and even if they left the speed brakes out, I bet the airplane would have cleared the mountain. So, you can't, either way you look at it, if they had Egypt Whiz with the speed brakes out, they probably would have all survived. If they just retract the speed brakes, they probably would have all survived. But it was just a combination. Very rarely do accidents happen where it's just one singular event. Typically, it is a combination of little errors that happen throughout the course of a flight or throughout the course of time or pre-flight, wherever it is. These little things keep stacking up, and then eventually one thing is too big and it breaks the chain. The accident chain is broken and an accident happens. So, yeah, I mean, it all started, well, how did they get off course? They thought they were in a different position. Why did they think they were in a different position? It just, all these little factors add up over time, and unfortunately, there was loss of life with that accident. But it is a good topic, and that's going to lead us into our briefing as we start looking and setting up here for the approach into Medellin. So let me get the charts out here. Jose Maria Cordova Airport. We are on the, we're not worried about that. We're just going to pull up the approach. Did I start? I think I did. ILS Zulu runway 1 is all we care about today. I'm going to hide you. We got a procedure turn that we're going to worry about. Let's go ahead and get the actual weather real quick. Enter destination data. I know we're about to do it right now. If we stay a little bit higher, that's fine because we're going to do the procedure turn. We might do a turn in the hold. Taxi, what's up? Welcome. SKRG. Send that off. If you're configured for landing, flaps out and gear down, and you get too low terrain warning, am I correct that you keep the aircraft in the current configuration? Correct. Nick Gill, you're absolutely correct. And we train for that too. You don't want to change aircraft configuration, and there's several different reasons for that. Obviously, retracting the flaps is one of the worst things you can do because now you're killing lift. But even something as simple as retracting the landing gear, the drag that's increased during the landing gear deployment, now I'm speaking to the Airbus, it could be different on different airframes, but the Airbus and the engineers have calculated that if you're fully configured and you get a CFIT, you do not change configuration of the aircraft. So that must mean that even if you were to bring the gear up, it's more beneficial to just keep the gear down, keep the gear doors closed, and let the airplane climb away from the ground. So you are absolutely correct. We keep the configuration the same during the CFIT recovery. Right now we've got 320 at 6, 999, towering cumulonimbus, no significant weather, 1024, which is 3024. Awesome. So we're going to do 3024. And what was the temp? 22. And the winds were 320 at 6. That'll be perfect for our ILS going northbound. The landing gear would help with ground impact. Bob Dylan, if you're going to hit the ground, I don't at that rate, is that going to make much of a difference? I don't know. I mean, you know, that's where you talk about every incident is unique into that specific incident. This is a 7,200 foot DA, so it's high terrain, obviously. We're going to make sure we put that in there. I mean, if you're going to hit hard enough to where you're going to damage the aircraft, whether the gear is up or down, I don't know. I mean, having the gear down, what if you snag something with the gear, whereas if the gear was up, maybe you would clear something. I don't know. That would be a great question for an engineer. How is the FS Project stick holding up? I ordered one, but it won't be delivered until September, sadly. FS Project stick is doing well. I love this stick. It's still my favorite stick. I've got it running here on my Thrustmaster base, the Warthog base. And the only thing I've noticed is make sure every now and then, just double check, make sure it is screwed on nice and tight. Don't over tighten it. Don't strip the threads or anything. But I think over time, I've been using it a lot, obviously, with the Fenix. It can get a little bit loose, and you don't want those pins to wear or bend. So make sure you just pre-flight check. Throw that in your pre-flight check that it is nice and snugged up. Somebody mentioned blue Loctite, which, you know, you could do that too if you want. Oh, we're going to skip this song. What's up with this? This is part of our... All right, we got 16,000 set. MDA is 7,200. High terrain, so we got terrain on my side. And we can go ahead and start down. So, oops, let's set 16, and we're going to do a brief here. Man, it's mock descent. Seatbelt sign is coming on. If the MCDU doesn't automatically draw the procedure turn, how do you program it? I was going into John Wayne and the procedure turn, but it didn't draw it, so I programmed a hold. Swarm, exactly how you did it. If it doesn't show it, that's probably because you didn't load it from that fix. So, and I'd have to know exactly. We'll go ahead and fade this music out, though, because we're about to get busy anyway. So give me a second here. Bring the sim up a little bit. So I don't know exactly the situation that you were in, but depending on the approach, if a procedure turn is not mandatory, the box won't draw it. If you need to do it, whether it's for ATC or because you're high or something, there's two ways to do it. If it's a programmed hold, you can select the fix, you could do hold, and you can do the computed hold. Or if it's on an approach, you could do the approach, arrival, select approach via, and you need to select the via that has the hold implemented. Obviously, and maybe not obvious, but what you did is the correct maneuver or the correct technique. If I was in your situation going into, where you say John Wayne, and the procedure turn was not in the box, the quickest way for me to do that is I'm just going to come down here, I'm going to do line select key over the fix, hold, and I'm going to hit computed. And it should put whatever the published hold is, even though I don't need it, and the airplane will automatically enter the hold for you. That's the quickest way to do it. And even if it's not in a computed hold, you can manually put it in. I still think that would be faster than going back, select approach via, loading it, then going direct to it. So what you did is the correct way to do it. Absolutely. So we're on the middle of the econ descent window. That's a little bit better. Okay, let's do a quick brief of this approach. Herman, I'm going to get to your super chat first, and then we're going to do this brief here of the approach. He says, amazing stream as always. You got me into flight sims about 2 years ago. The citation and explain. Herman, thank you so much for the €5 donation, and still enjoy flying ever since. Herman, I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. I'm glad you're enjoying the citation. I wonder if is that the citation 550 from Coronado? I do wish I could have done more with that series. Just a lot of chips fell in the wrong place on that. I had a corrupt hard drive. I had a move. I couldn't upload content. And a lot of things got in the way of that series really taking off for what it's worth. But I still hope the videos that I got out there were good enough to get you guys up and flying and learn a little bit about some of the basic stuff we do on the ground. The citation. Citation is near and dear to my heart. That is my first airplane that I flew, or first jet, excuse me. First jet I flew was a citation. So thanks again for your support, Herman. Appreciate you. What do you put your sight stick on to get the same height as the Airbus? I'll show you here in the tiller cam. I mounted this on it's called the JP mount, a PEIN mount, and you can use any mount, any desk mount that you want. But I use a desk mount because you can adjust the height of this here, right? I can set it up, and you can't see it on the camera, but I have an armrest pretty much right here, and I can rest my arm on the armrest, and it keeps my arm and wrist completely level. That is something I talked about in that tiller video. That is very critical in getting the correct feel for the side stick, because even if you go out and get yourself one of these awesome side sticks from FSprojects, if you just put it on top of your desk and you have your arm like up here or whatnot, it's not going to feel right, and it's going to be harder to manipulate, and you're going to be like, what is this guy smoking? Like, why this does not feel accurate at all? And that's because having the stick set at a proper height and having proper support on your forearm is just as critical as having the right tension and the right stick for you. So I do highly, highly, highly suggest getting any type of desk mount that you can pick up that's compatible with whatever base you're using, and make sure you set the height correctly there. And really, really suggest getting an armrest. I know they're kind of, people don't really love armrests for their desk chairs now, but I run one, and it makes a big difference. I mean, can you do it without an armrest? Sure, absolutely, especially if it's at the right height. But having that armrest just makes it that much easier for precise control movements or precise control inputs on the stick. Dorian, welcome. Yeah, beautiful terrain down here. I needed to do a quick briefing here. Okay, so localizer, Medellin, let's go ahead and do this. LS push buttons are on. 1 and 2 is set. We got 16 set. Matter of fact, we can set 13 for Asiru. We'll set 13,000. 13 is set. Final approach course 007. Let's see. The DA for us is 7,200 feet. Runway elevation is 69. Call it 7,000. Call it 8,000 feet. We'll be stable by 8,000 MSL. Multiple sector altitudes. High terrain. All quadrants. Now, we have some actual company procedures here that I want to go over real quick if you do this approach. Now, in real life, I say in real life, but back in the day, we used to do this exact procedure where you had to slow down in the hold, turn around, but now there's a new RNAV that just basically gives you a 90 and you turn inbound. But on this approach, you actually have to do the procedure turn. And let me pull up the charts here for it. SKRG, company charts. Okay, here we go. Arrival data with turns with respect to this hold or procedure turn here. And oh, I'm sorry, I left this cam on for you. Let's get rid of that. Get you back into fly live cam. Transition altitude in Colombia. Good question. It is 18,000 feet. You can see here. We're turning in. We're looking fine. Okay. All right. So you can't do a circle to land at night. Obviously, we don't want to do that. Okay. Here we go. After crossing the Rio Negro VOR outbound, which is right here. I'm going to zoom in on it. Outbound. Because we're going to do probably a direct entry from this way, from where we're coming from on this arrival. We're going to just do I think it was it a direct? What did it draw? Drew something funny there from Dontu. Let's help it out. I'm going to, hold on, pause the brief. I'm going to go direct to Rio RNG with the hold. Insert that. There we go. That looks better. That's a parallel entry. We're going to do a parallel entry here, which is what we would typically get. So we're going to go direct to direct to Rio Negro, at or above probably 13,000, which 13 is set. So here we go. But we want to be 210 knots max as we go outbound. At 7 DME, flaps 1. When inbound, this is crucial, when inbound here on our turn inbound to the Rio Negro VOR, do not descend below 11,000 feet until 0.5 DME from the Rio Negro VOR. That is because of possible terrain and getting a, what is that, enhanced jip width. So we're about to see some super juicy scenery. I'm going to push you on the window view here as we continue the brief. After being cleared for the approach, do not arm the approach until completing the turn and on an intercept course inbound to the localizer. Not crossing the RNG VOR inbound at 10,000 will lead to you being high on the glide slope, and you will have to be, and it will be hard to capture the glide slope from above. So, wow, look at that terrain. So there's a couple things we have to talk about. I know it sounds like a mouthful, but basically, we're not going to arm the approach until we're inbound. We got to be 210 knots max, and we want to be flaps 1 before we make the turn back around inbound. This is all part of the terrain avoidance and awareness, as well as getting the airplane configured in time for landing. Obviously, there's high terrain, 10.3. We've got 9.7 over here. So there's high terrain, and we're doing this procedure turn. We talk about protected sides and unprotected sides. Look at the terrain over here on the non-protected side of the hold, and if you look on this side, a little bit more protected. Obviously, if you're at 12,000 feet, you should be clear of all of that, but just stuff we have to take into account. So first things first, I need to slow the airplane down because we are screaming. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to just select 230 for now because I got to catch up. We got talking, too much to talk about there, and now we're behind the airplane. 30.24, something you never want to do here. So let's catch up. 30.24 on the altimeters. Let's do this. 30.24, which is 10.24. Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's me. 30.24 is set. That's because Phantom hasn't set his over here. I should sync them up. All right, 30.24 set both sides. And we're getting ready to enter the hold here, outbound. I'm going to slow down here. We're cooking. Speed brake out. Speed brake is coming out, and terrain push button is on. Here comes the VOR. LS push buttons are on. Get rid of this guy now. All right, what's our outside air temp? Plus 16. We're looking good. Let's do a quick landing data assessment. So what all this stuff, I'm just going to go good here. Runway 1. Now with RNAV and everything, it's a little bit easier to do this approach. You can just go straight in, but we used to have to do this exact procedure turn every time we came in here. Its landing weight is 128.6, so we're nice and light. That's good. 1286. Enter. 128.6. Didn't take the 6. There we go. Enter that. We're going to do low brakes, full reverse, flap full, manual auto thrust on. You can see 6,800 feet. So a landing data assessment is completed here. I'm going to come straight back to 180 on the speed. Now we got to go back to our chart. All right. 12,000 until inbound. So let's go ahead and set 12,000 now. I'm going to go for an open descent. VFE next minus 10. We'll go flaps 1. Man, that everything just came up super quick. All right, so 210 knots max. We're already below that. I want to hard tune the RNG VOR up here, which is something I forgot to do as well. RNG is hard tuned. So now I've got DME 1.9. We're looking good. There's VFE next minus 10. I'm going to go ahead and extend flaps 2. Put the odds in your favor. Now I've done this approach at night in the weather, and it is you start to get a little hyper focused. All right, let's get the flight recorder on too. Mohammed, yeah, the JP mount is good. It is not the highest priced, best quality mount out there. I think Monster Tech is probably the best quality. But if you're just using it for the Airbus, I mean, it is perfectly acceptable. It's sturdy enough for me. I use it just fine. But I mean, Monster Tech is also a good option, but they are also a little bit more expensive. But yeah, I use the JP for this. Flying Saber, welcome to Private Pilot, sir. Is it good to be hyper-focused? Javier, yes and no. Being hyper-focused can do a couple things. It could keep you on track, but it can also give you tunnel vision and you can lose situational awareness. So there's a fine line between hyper-focused and losing situational awareness. You have to be aware of that. Paul Shoesmith says the JP is also good for mounting the Cat 3 tiller as well. There you go. See? So I use the J-peen. I use both mounts, so you couldn't go wrong with either one. But I use the J-peen for my Warthog or my Airbus side stick here. Yeah, taxi observer. It does. There is a eye adaptation when you put the sun visor up and down. Man, this terrain is so beautiful. This is so nice. I mean, should we do a second leg today? I don't want to stop flying. I went all out and just built a home cockpit with the setup with the center pedestal. Jeff, that is awesome, man. Does the 320 have leading edge flaps? Yes, it does. That's what you were just looking at. All right, so here we go. Here's the turn. Remember, we got to be 12,000 until, I already missed it, until, was it 0.5? Or do not descend below 11? Yeah, do not descend below 11,000 feet until 0.5 from the VOR. So we can come back, we're going to come back inbound. Once we're inbound, we can descend to 12, but we can't go below 10 until 0.5. So everything is looking good right now. We're 180 knots. We're in selected speed, so I'm going to go ahead and just double check here. We're going to activate and confirm the approach phase. That might exit us from the hold. It shouldn't, though. Old software it did. This could totally screw us. I'm going to press it anyway. Let's see what happens. Okay, no, it did not exit the hold. Good. So we're 180 knots, flaps 2. We're in the turn inbound. Let's enjoy the views. It says, if you feel you're getting hyper-focused, how do you relax a little? Al, the best tip I can give you, take a deep breath as heavy as you can and let it out very slowly through your nose. So in through the mouth, get as deep as you can, and then just out through the nose very slowly. And you know, so as a captain, and this is things that you learn as you go through your career, and I'm speaking specifically to aviation, but it can apply to any job field, really. You have to consciously take an effort to, like, okay, step back, sit back in your seat, whatever it is, reassess everything that's going on, and then continue with the task at hand. So I've done that multiple times, nose flying. It's just like getting specifically, you know, doing approaches. This was a big deal when I was flying single pilot freight a lot, and I'm doing these complex approaches, NDBs, VOR, DME, all this stuff, and I'm in the soup, I'm low level, I'm single pilot, turboprops. Like, sometimes you can feel it creeping up on you, and you got to be like, look, take a deep breath, reassess everything that's happening, reassess your vitals, right? Is your gear down? Are you configured? Are you in the right spot? These are all vital things that you can reassess, and then you can continue with the task at hand. Verpal or wind wing? Oh, Mohammed. So I've tried all of them. My personal preference, if I had to pick one over just between Verpal or wind wing, I'm going to go Verpal. I'm going to go Verpal. If I had to pick over Verpal or wind wing, if that was my only option, I would choose Verpal. But I say that I do have a wind wing. I've got a big wind wing throttle quadrant and everything as well that I enjoy. But I also have the Verpal base. I have the CM2 base. But I prefer the Airbus to be on the Thrustmaster magnetic base. That's what I prefer. I should be making some radio calls here. Rio Negro traffic. Viva 357. We're over the hold over the Rio Negro VR at 12,000. We're going to continue inbound for the ILS Zulu 01 Rio Negro. All right, so we are inbound. We can descend. We're at 12. That looks good. We can't go below 10 until 0.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dial in 10. I'm going to dial in 10,000 feet so I'm ready. And here's another tip here. So this is real world techniques. We don't want to extend flaps until we're VFE next minus 10. Here's our VFE next, right? 175. I'm at 180 knots. If I come back an extra 5 knots, I'm now already at my next flap extend speed, and that's only going to help me get down quicker and more stable than if I was doing 180. So I'm going to preemptively, I'm going to just come right back to 170 here. I'm going to preemptively put the ball in my court. I don't need to be at 180. I'm going to come back to 170. And I could, in fact, extend flaps 3, which I'm going to do right now, because that, again, is going to put the ball in my court as I get ready to come over the VOR and drop down and capture the glide slope. So I know we talk 2,000, 180 all the time, flaps 2. That is a very good way to keep the airplane stable. There are these unique airports, a lot of them here in South America, where that technique goes out the window because of the high terrain and because of the unique challenges that these approaches present to you. I'm near Rio Negro and the weather is exactly as it is in the sim. That's awesome to hear, Andres. Awesome. All right, so we're flaps 3. I'm glad the airport's over here and not over there. Got to send a little 11,000, so we can go down to 11 thou. I'm actually going to trickle down to 11 now, but we can't go below 11, not 12. So I'm going to start trickling down. Vertical speed 1,000. 11 is set. Vertical speed 1,000. You can see the glide slope's already below us on this approach. All right, I'm going to start the recording now. Recording is set. Mohammed, thank you so much for the $20 super chat services. Thanks so much, V1. You're a tremendous wealth of information for those of us trying to learn and fly as real as it gets. Cheers. Mohammed, thank you so much for that super chat, man. I really appreciate that, sir. Glad you're enjoying the content. All right, we'll go ahead and set 10,000. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Philip Delfire, exclamation point, welcome. Thank you for joining the channel. Very happy to have you on board. Thank you, sir. All right, we're getting into the, there is our 0.5. Let's go. Open descent, thrust idle, open descent, a little bit of speed brake to help the airplane out. I'm actually going to go ahead and manage the speed. Gear down. VFE next minus 10, flaps full, a little bit of a dog leg here. Approach AP2. This is a excessive turn here. This is not here. So airplane's not doing what I want it to do. Autopilot off. I'm going to hand fly the aircraft. That was an excessive I don't know what that was there. That's not realistic. We're going to recover the aircraft. We're hand flying it now. We're on speed. Gear is down. Retract those. Arm the speed brakes. Speed would be nice. Little speed would be nice. There's glide slope star, a lope star. Let's bring the aircraft back where we want it. Matter of fact, we can just hand fly this one in. We'll just hand fly this one in. We'll leave 10,000 set for the missed approach altitude. That VREF speed is really low. Glide slope loc is captured. Tiller cam is on for your viewing pleasure. We're recapturing it here. Let's get the lights on quick. No ATC. We'll get everything else on and confirm recording is on. Recording is on. All right, so we're all back in it here. I'm not quite sure what that little jaunt was that the airplane drew there for us to. It should just cross straight over and then go straight to the runway. But we're okay. We're stable. Speed brakes are armed. There we go. We're looking good now. Rio Negro traffic, Viva 357, we're on a 5-mile final, runway 1, Rio Negro. Alright, speed, glide slope, loc, all captured, all synced up, landing checklist, cabin crew advised, auto thrust to speed, ECAM memo, landing all green, our landing checklist is complete, we're doing manual brakes. Philip, I just had a comment there. It says, as a son of a 320 captain, after all the knowledge you provide, I feel like quizzing my father on some 320 tech. Philip, hey, thank you for your thank you for your support, man. And yeah, hopefully you can ask him a couple questions here and there, right? That was an intense approach. That was intense. I was behind the airplane, got to talking to you guys in chat. But now we can enjoy the views. Hit the freaking, oh my gosh, that looks so real, guys. I'm telling you. Hit the like button for that. All these little like greenhouse things out here. This is exactly what it looks like. So much juice right now.
1,000.
1,000 feet stable, clear to land. Rio Negro traffic, Viva 357, short final, runway 1, Rio Negro. Yeah, I don't know if it was trying to continue the holding pattern or what, but that is not how it would behave in real life. I saw that little jaunt on the ND, but we're okay. Turn the autopilot off, right? Autopilot, disengage, put the airplane where you want it to be. Don't sit there looking at it, waiting for it to recover itself. You're the PIC, you put the airplane where it needs to be. So we got 2 whites, 2 reds, high density altitude here. We can expect not much flare, at least in the real, or not much float in real life. I mean, it tends to fall out. So look at this. See the glide slope running away from me?
100 above.
I'm gonna just stay visual with the pappies here. We're gonna stay visual with the pappies. 2 whites, 2 reds.
Minimum.
Yeah, I don't know what that glide slope. That glide slope would put you right into the dirt. It might be a terrain issue.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard. 5.
Oh, where you at? Oh,
Looking at you, one.
jeez. That was a float. That was a big time float. See, there we go. See the nose wheel? Okay, I'm gonna show you guys on a flight here, because that's exactly what's happening. Interesting though, the flight director stayed on too, on a ILS. That would not do that there on an ILS. On an RNAV,
Traffic,
that's correct.
We are fully established on the ILS runway 01.
But on an ILS, that going into a vertical speed is not correct. Christian, I don't think it was illegal, man. I think we nabbed the touchdown zone. We'll have a look at it. We'll stop recording. We'll analyze. We'll analyze if we were illegal or not. But, I mean, we were super light. There we go, making excuses. We were super light, and I wanted to come down here at this side of the terminal anyway. Flaps up. Let's go ahead and recover the airplane. We're going to leave the lights on. Rio Negro traffic. Viva 357. Clear of runway 1, taxi the ramp, Rio Negro. Why are my spoilers still... Oh. Reverser's still out, that's why. But yeah, I don't know why that vertical speed stayed there. I will show you, Christian. We'll see if we touch down in the zone. Can you change auto brake after touchdown? What do you mean? Just landed there before you and had the same issue with the glide slope. Yeah, I think the glide slope is running maybe the old scenery. This is a pay-where scenery. It almost seems like the glide slope does not reflect the current scenery elevation.
This is Yanka 205 short final runway 01, Rio Negro.
All right, Mr. Avianca is on short final. We'll see if we can catch his touchdown here. Man, I feel like we could have done a 3-hour flight into here, and it still wouldn't have been enough time to brief everything. Ah, there's that stupid... you mouse click to the right with the brakes on. No, after touchdown, you cannot change the auto brake setting. We'll park it here at the gate. We'll go see that Avianca touchdown, and then we're going to look at that. We're going to assess the replay. We're going to see how bad I floated this one out. Oh! Ooh. Ooh, we pushed. We went a little. We might have to get a pushback to put the jet bridge up. All right, let's go see. Let's go see what's going on over here. Let me go ahead and go back into this. Where's that Avianca at? Oh, there he is. I'm going to increase the speed here. Hold on. The camera is just awful in the sim. Alright, I think we were legal, Christian. I think we caught the last one. Let's see how this guy does. Oh, that's in the grass. Alright, Avianca. Here he comes. Ooh, looking good. Ooh. Oh, a little bit of float too. Oh, that was a straight up butter though. Oh, and I screwed the pooch on the view there. My bad. That was a butter though. That was 10 for 10 on the butter for him. This is Medellin, Diego. Yes, it is. This is indeed Medellin. Let's go ahead and check out our replay here. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect from FatSim. How many controllers do I have connected? A lot, dude. A lot. I have a USB bus and all this stuff. Let's reconfigure. We're going to go flaps full. We won't arm the speed brakes. Put you guys into replay view. After this replay, I'm going to demonstrate what's happening with the rudder and the nose on the ground. So stick around for that because I know what's happening. Who's that? Oh. All right, we are configured. We're disconnected. Let's take a look at the replay. Let it load in. Let's go ahead and pause that. Let's move it forward a little bit. We'll watch all that here. Let's go ahead and watch this. Let's go ahead right here. Boom. Look at that. Do you know why I can't see you on the airport now? Journey, that's because I just disconnected for VATS. I just disconnected so we could do the replay here. We're going to see. I feel like if I'm outside of the touchdown zone, I should be punished. I should have to do like a second leg or something. Sergey, I'm not planning on a second leg, but after this replay, I want to show you guys. I'm going to do a demonstration of what's happening with the rudder effectivity on the ground with just the mains. And you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. And I don't have any conflicting bindings or anything of that nature. Have I ever spoken to Kennedy Steve? Yes, I did before he retired, right? He's retired now. He's been retired for a while, a couple of years. Why sometimes after landing the pilot does not raise the flaps fully? That's probably based on the OAT. They'll leave flaps 1. I mean, this just looks so good, though. Are you kidding? Yeah, if it's outside like 35C or 40C or whatever your SOP is, if you bring the flaps up and the slats retract on shutdown, you can get a bleed. I think it's like a bleed leak fault or something like that. Key 6. I'm using flight recorder. Flight recorder. It's just called flight recorder, I think. Yep, on the .to. Man, everyone's freaking texting me today. What's up with that? Nobody wants to talk to me, and then when I start streaming. Alright, here we go. I think the glide slope is not looking at the terrain. Alright, so we're coming on down. Much faster, right? You're much faster because you have a higher true airspeed. Ooh, that was close, Christian. A little bit of an overflare there. We're going to have to rewind that. And see how the nose immediately ripped when it touched down? I know exactly what's happening. All right, let's see here. Where did we hit? I'm going to pause it right on touchdown. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that airplane would have fallen out of the sky in real life, right there. Okay. Oh, look at that. We are 1 tire length from being legal. If you haven't already, please smash the like button for Real YouTuber Live, because we were legal by one tire length. 1 tire length. I mean, just barely. It was very close, Christian. But Blue Bear, exactly. Quadamundi salute right back at you. That was precision. I meant to do that because I wanted to take this exit down here and I wanted to come to the ramp from this direction. It was totally intentional. Alright, let's watch one more. We won't do a full length, but we'll get some juicy views from like right about here, coming down. We'll do this one. It'll be nice. We'll watch this replay, and then I won't even put the Be Right Back screen up. I'm just going to go into, we'll just do a new flight, and then you'll see what I'm talking about, this nose wheel, because I know what's happening. Fubar, thank you so much, man, for stopping by. You have a great rest of your day, sir. Tiny squid, exactly. Steven says nobody got hurt. You can probably use the plane again after that landing. So overall, 10 for 10. Exactly. Just look at these. Look at this range shaft over here. My goodness. The next flight plan is nothing. I'll probably do it off of VATSIM too. We'll just load up somewhere. Where's a good test runway? We'll just do it in Dallas because I'll just do a demonstration for it here in DFW. Or maybe we should go somewhere with the add-on. Where's a good scenery? What good sceneries do I have? I'm trying to think. Your PC just got wiped because of ransomware? Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, dude. You can see here, entering the bowl. A lot of terrain down there. Entering the toilet bowl. Are we going to Cusco, Peru some point during the South America tour? Sketchy RMP approach. Hey, it sounds like it's a fun place to fly into, Jeff. I'm gonna have to look into it, man. What would happen in real life if you were over? Honestly, Paul, in real life, if that was my first officer landing, I would have called for a go-around, because at that point we were right at the edge, and it would be situational. Even myself, if I was flying that exact approach and I floated that far, it would have been a go-around. I probably would have executed a go-around in real life. Now, there's other factors, right? We're super light. We're only 120,000 pounds or whatever. We're lightly loaded 320. Will it stop? Yes. It's just not worth it, you know? But you have to take into the situation, right? If there was a massive thunderstorm on the departure end, I'm probably going to just stick it down and stop. Situations are situational. Keep coming back to that. But it would have been 50-50 if that was go-around or not. Heck, the FO might have called go-around on me on that one. It was that close. If I have an in-op APU, do I just shut down when I arrive at the gate? Connect the ground power first. If you connect the ground power first, then you can shut down. So everything was fine, then we hit like this weird float right there. Hold on, what's my pitch attitude? That was smooth though. Very smooth. I was over flared. I was really high on the flare. That was not a very good landing. See, there we go. Boom. Alright, we're gonna do this. Let's do this. I'm gonna stop the replay. And we're gonna close that. We're gonna exit that. I'm gonna go into. We're just gonna end flight. Go to the main menu here, and I'm gonna demonstrate what's happening with this airplane when the nose wheel hits the ground. I don't know if this is a Microsoft thing. I assume it is, but maybe it's a Fenix thing. I don't know. But let's just go somewhere. Where's a good airport to just test this real quick? TNCM, St. Martin. Let's just do St. Martin. I've actually never been there in this sim. I'm going to put us on runway 10. That's the departure. Let's just pick a different livery, because why not? Let's take a, what's a good livery? The Northwest. Ooh, let's take an old Delta livery. All right, just for fun. I'm going to show you guys, and here we go. Flight conditions. I'm going to do preset when I get there, but no traffic, so I'm not going to be in anybody's way. We're going to just do I'm going to take off. I'm going to come back around. We're going to land, and I'm going to show you what's happening. There is an A300-600 landing in Medellin at the moment. Awesome, Danny. Very cool. Do you get fired for bouncing on touchdown? No. No, that's not a fireable offense. All right, here we go. We're going to go ready to fly. Flaps 1. Reset this. Let the airplane do its thing. It's got to wake up. Oh, Delta livery looks nice. All right, and then we're going to set the wind and everything just the way I want it, so we don't have any variables that we can't control. Let me get rid of this and get rid of you. Cool. All right. I know it's going to beep at me on takeoff, yada, yada, yada. Everything else is good. We got gas. We got 6,000 pounds of gas on board. That's fine. Now let me mess with the weather real quick here. I'll go weather and live weather off. Okay, so we are on 095. We're going to make a crosswind from the right. So humidity is fine, 29902. Clear skies. How do I add a wind layer? We're going to add wind at ground level. It's going to be, let's see, what is it? Direction? 180. Right? Yeah, we'll make it directly from the right. 180 at 10 knots. And gusts from 180 if any. So it's all the same direction. Okay? 180 at 11, gust 11. Oh, gust per minute. I don't want gusts. Let's just do 0 gust. I've actually never messed with this. Does this mean it's 10 knots? Okay. Alright. Done. Here we go. Let's watch this. So we're flaps 1. Everything is good. Brake is off. It's going to yell at me. No takeoff speeds. Yeah, we know it. Here we go. And I'll give you the hand cam or captain cam so you can see what's going on. Actually, I don't even... Have I ever been to this airport before? I don't... Oh, this will just default. All right, let's go. Toga. Speed's not inserted. We'll fix it on the ground. Tail strike. Get fired. All right, so already getting... That's all right. Using some left pedal now. That's good. We're on center line. Everything is good. Rotates probably right around here. All right. Gear up. Give me the bird. Flight director's off. I don't need flight directors. Don't need auto thrust. It's going to keep yelling at me. Let's get that out of the way. We're just going to make a right-hand traffic pattern here. And to make it look a little bit better, let me get the time so it's like... There we go. We'll do evening, like sunset-ish. Alright, so we've got our wind. Why is it saying 20 knots? Maybe that's because we're at 2,000 feet. Either way, 10 knots, 20 knots, it does the same thing. And I'm going to put the flight control page on the lower ECAN. Oh, but it's blocked. It's blocked with my hand cam when I do that. Alright, well, I'm going to go live cam. That way we can track the rudder inputs. Where's this runway at? Down there. Alright, we need to start configuring. We're just going to dive and drive. And a spam call, too. I gotta love it. Flaps 2. And let's just go flaps 3. And flaps full. Down, spoid brake stowed and armed. We are armed. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to go Tom Cruise on this turn to final here. Just bear with me. Oh, it's not realistic. I know. Pop the ECAM out. I could do that, but it doesn't capture an OBS. We really need a custom engine model. That would be nice, too. Am I too close? I might be too close. Oh, no. We're good. We're good. We're going to yank and bank it all the way around. All that matters is that we're stable when we come across the numbers. That's all that matters. So let's come around, yank and bank. Gutsiest move I've ever seen, Mav. Sync rate check. Bank angle check.
Sync rate.
All right. VREF speed is probably somewhere around 130 knots at this weight. We're actually very light. So we've got 17 knots from the right. Let me get on profile. Now I'm gonna we may end up going off the end of the runway. I'm not going to try to land. What I'm going to show you guys is I'm going to have
500.
my corrections in, and I'm going to show you how slow the nose moves. So it's kind of a weird angle here, but I'm doing it so you can see the rudder input down here at the bottom. All right, so a little bit of power. We're coming in, we're crabbed. This looks bad because it's a weird angle that I have the camera. This is just to demonstrate.
100.
So we're 13 knots, right? Really nothing to worry about here. All right, so I'm getting my
50,
left rudder in.
40.
Decrabbing.
20,
Decrabbing.
retard.
We're at idle.
5.
Okay. I'm full left rudder. Nose is up. I am full left rudder. You see that? Nose is drifting right. Now watch, when I put the nose down, boom. Airplane comes to the left. That's not accurate. That nose should be moving plenty. I mean, it's 10 knots for crying out loud. That's nothing. So that nose should be moving almost like, see, look, I'm full left rudder. I'm full left rudder. Look, full left rudder. And as soon as the mains come off the ground, look what happens. Nose is coming over to the left. So there's something happening when the airplane touches down with the mains that just basically in-op the rudder. And then when the nose hits, it shouldn't move. Now, to appease you guys, everyone says, oh, hit the pedal disconnect. Okay, pedal disconnect is down. The same thing is going to happen. The same thing is going to happen when we touch down. I promise you. I'll show you one more time here. One more demonstration. Track FPA is on. I don't need the flight director. Get away from me. Speed 180. I don't need auto thrust. Auto thrust is off. All this good stuff. Asoba said it'll be addressed by Sim Update 10. I hope so, Hawks. I really hope so. Now, this is a good question. Somebody brought up, does it happen in other airplanes? I don't think I've landed in a crosswind in another airplane yet. Maybe we should try it in the PMDG at some point. I don't want to set up my yoke right now. But just to put everybody at rest, we're going to do the same demonstration. The pedal disconnect is on. And in sim settings, controls, pedal disconnect tiller is off. So theoretically, I should not have any movement of the nose wheel with the pedal disconnect push button down, right? So let's go ahead and try that on this landing. So in other words, the flight model excludes the rudder input if the mains are on the ground. Team Vodka, I don't want to say excludes because the rate at which the nose is drifting is less than if I were to have no rudder input at all. So to break that down even further, it's like the rudder is trying to do something, but it is nowhere near as effective as it should be, and the airplane is still getting off course. So I don't know where the runway is. I'm just yanking and banking. Hopefully we can find a piece of pavement so I can do it again. I'm going to lower the sync rate check. Yeah, we're going to crash check. Flight control page is up, check. Okay, runway's way over there. Landing gear not down. Oh, that would be a problem. Then we would really have an issue with the nose at that point. Gear's down. Coming down. I was like, that's a weird E-cam. All right, so pedal disconnect is on now. And this one, pay attention. The nose, as soon as the nose touches, the airplane's going to do the same exact thing. All right, so this is awful flying,
100.
but remember, it's demonstration purposes only.
50, 40.
All right, look at my rudder deflection.
20, retard.
Power to
5.
idle. Okay, I'm going to go full left rudder, and nose is going to touch. And look at that. It shoots off to the right. Need to come back to the right, come back to the right. Let me see if I can get the nose off the ground, just do a wheelie. No, I can't, I ran out of speed. But you get the picture. So, I mean, I don't know what's causing that issue, but it's definitely an issue. So look, pedal disconnect on the ground, right? Nose wheel should not move. Pedal disconnect, and nose wheel moves a little bit. So, let's check the fly-by-wire. Should we? Let's try the fly-by-wire. Don just brought that point up in chat. I don't even know, Don. I have not tested it. So we're going to do the same flight, same spot in the fly-by-wire. We'll try it. Blue Bear, it's the same. I did the same thing, Blue Bear, with the disconnect on and whatnot. So I don't know why I just went to Marketplace. We're gonna do the same thing, same runway. This time we'll take the fly. Let's take the fly-by-wire Neo because I don't have another spam call. I don't have my yoke set up, so I don't want to use it with the yoke. Set as departure, runway 10. Close that, fly. But like what I was showing Team Vodka is, you know, then that the rudder is doing something with the mains on and the nose up. It's just not doing enough. And then as soon as the nose wheel hits the ground, it's doing way too much. Oh, this isn't the fly-by-wire. This is not the fly-by-wire. That's not, I think I just selected the default Airbus. Whoops. Sorry. I do have the tiller is on a separate axis, and I'll show you when we load in. That was not the fly-by-wire. Where is the fly-by-wire? Where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you at? Phoenix? There it is. Fly-by-wire. Virgin America. Why not? I'm curious. This is going to be my own test. I have not done it in the fly-by-wire to try it out yet, so we'll see. Vodka says, yeah, that's why I'm veering off left and right then. Yeah, exactly. So, and I don't want to say, oh, it's all on a Zobo, because there's obviously correction happening. It's just nowhere near enough. And then when the nose touches, it's way off. Like the nose, if you touch and you have full, it's basically nil, because the wind, unless you slow down to where the nose wheel becomes effective and you're actually moving the nose wheel like through 60 knots, the aerodynamic forces are virtually the same, right? If you touch down at 140 knots with 3/4 deflection on the rudder, if the nose touches down at 135 knots, the aerodynamic forces really have not changed all that much, and it's not going to veer off on you. I wish you could have favorite aircraft in the menu. Yeah, I do too. I don't know if I did a recent update on the fly-by-wire. This might take a minute to load. Sorry, guys. We'll see. I mean, I'll just let it do its thing. Hopefully it'll work. We'll see. I don't know when the last time I updated is. I can have some of my sandwich though while I wait. 344 people watching the loading screen. Whew. Appreciate you guys. Spencer, don't worry, man. You're not the only one. So I want to find, because I think I have it in my head, like where the nose wheel is effective, but I don't remember the exact speed. Let me see if I can look it up so I don't tell you guys misinformation. But understanding that the nose wheel will turn with the rudders up to a certain speed. There's basically a non-linear progression of how much the nose wheel will turn with speed. And at, VREF speed, 140, 130, it doesn't matter. The nose wheel is not going to turn with the rudder. Should be 0 nose wheel deflection at 130 knots ground speed. Thank you, Maddie. I haven't looked it up, but that's what Maddie says. That sounds about right. I'm going to see if I can pull it up here for you. Nose wheel steering. Okay. Orders from, here we go. BSU, blah, 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 blah. The hand wheel can turn the nose up to 75 degrees in either direction. Yeah, we know that. And nose wheel steering angle. Orders from rudder pedals. Okay, so from the rudder pedal, at 40 knots, you have plus or minus 6 degrees from center at 40 knots. Okay, that's as far as you can move it, 6 degrees. There is a degression or a linear downslope of the speed correlating with speed and angle. So at 80 knots, it looks to be about 3 degrees. At 130 knots ground speed, there is zero nose wheel steering angle. So that's what I'm talking about. You're touching down 130 knots, 140 knots, nose wheel comes down. I mean, even if you touch down at 140, heck, even at 120 knots, you're only going to have maybe a degree of nose wheel travel, which is very little, if any. Like, I mean, you're barely going to feel that. So as opposed to the tiller, you have plus or minus 75 degrees all the way up until 20 knots. At between 20 and 80 knots, the tiller is no longer effective. So at 80 knots, the tiller loses all effectivity. So you could land with your hand on the tiller full left, and well, theoretically, it should not do anything. I would never do that. I would never recommend anybody do that. But that's how it is designed. The glimpse of the default 320 hurt your eyes? Me too, man. Closest thing to EIS-1, though, that you're going to get. I'm glad it's not just me. I could do the entire flight like a pro. When I land, I look like I'm landing on my first solo flight. Matt, I hear you, man. Now, I think we could probably, now that I know that, next time as the nose wheel comes down, as a workaround, as sim pilots, we can just take our feet off the rudder as the nose wheel hits the ground and then do your correction. So if you're landing in that stiff crosswind, take your feet off the rudder pedals right as the nose touches down. And then you can correct from there. I think that would be a workaround. But I know, Russell, I'm with you. We'll see if the fly-by-wire proves us wrong. Sorry, it's taking a while to load, guys. I don't know what's going on with that because I haven't loaded it in a while. Or I don't think I haven't loaded it since I updated the sim, maybe. Mr. Tomov, I hear you. 10 knots. Max opposite rudder and went off the grass. Well, that's not how it works. And I'm not trying to toot my horn, but I landed this thing in a 43 knot crosswind. Crosswind component was probably about 40 knots, 39 knots. It was right there because it wasn't 100% direct, but it was almost direct. I had almost full pedal to the left. And, it was still very much controllable. It was a challenge. Don't get me wrong. It was very challenging. In fact, what was the most challenging part was actually the amount of side stick command I needed when I decrabbed. And I still landed a little bit crabbed. But it was not... there you go. There was a 38 thing on the screen there. But it does not act that way. 372 likes with 342 people watching. You guys are awesome. And we're still watching the loading screen. I don't know why y'all are here, but I appreciate you. Oh, do you think it's incompatible? Oh boy, Jeff, we'll find out. Won't it start up? Come on, baby. Look at this. Oh, it's just a Captain mug. I thought it was my V1 mug.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Wow, I haven't been on this airplane in so long. All right, here we go. We got throttles. We do have throttles. We have flight controls. Beautiful. All right. Let's do an outside view. Lovely fly-by-wire 320 Neo. Let's set the winds. Same exact thing as before. I want to put the sun somewhere where you can see better. Where was it? We had it like sunset, right? Yeah, that's fine. All right, we're going to turn live weather off. 2902, all that stuff. Add wind layer. Ground level. Do the same exact thing. 180. And I'm going to put in 10 knots. And I did gust from 180, but I turned gust off just in case there was any extra gust. So gust off. But even if there was a gust, it's from the same direction, so it shouldn't change anything. Okay, that's done. Let's find out. Let's turn the brakes off. We're probably going to get a bunch of ECAMs just like before, but you know the drill. Let's go. The spool up time of the Neo. 10 for 10. Here we go. Toga. I don't know why Fly Live is on. Sorry, guys. Let me get rid of that for you. Probably right about now. Positive rate. Gear up. Turn the flight directors off. I don't need you. The sound's amazing. I should probably brighten up the PFD and ND. Should have done that before taking off. Would have been the smart thing to do. Brighten up the ECAMs. And flight control page is up. And we do have rudder. I'm just checking my rudder authority. Okay, good. Here we go. Let's fly this pattern around. I feel like it's dark in here. Brighten up the cockpit a little bit. Alright, wow, we're at 2,500 feet. What's our weight? Our weight is 102,000 pounds. So yeah, we're really light. Jeez. That's overspeed. Chop and drop, baby. Powered idle, gear down. Here we go. Oh, that's a pretty shot. Wow. All right, here we go. Flaps 1. Let's arm the speed brake, just like we did in the Phoenix. That way we get the speed brake deployment and all that. That is important. Speed brake is
2,500.
Armed. If you next, here we go. Flaps 2. Let's just do it from back here. We'll listen to Boris sounds. Can you fly the fly-by-wire for V-Spirit? I think so, if you want to fly the Neo. VREF speed. All right, so this will even be more of a test because we're going to be landing. I'm gonna try to target. What did we target? We targeted like 135-ish in the Phoenix. About the same, 133. That'll at least be our target. I was just trying to see the spool up time there. Powered idle, let's go. And here we go. Yank and bank around, ECAMs, bank angle check, all that good stuff. So about 130, I'm just going to put a bug there so I see it. So we already talked about 135 knots is when you get like 1 degree of travel. 15 knots, it's actually 18 knots there, but it's going to blend to about 10 knots by the time we touch down.
500.
I'm going to give us that funky camera angle so you guys can see the rudder deflection. Now I'm going to try to just kind of wheelie this and see what kind of authority I have on this one here. So we're going to kind of I'm just going to see what kind of authority I have, and then I will intentionally go full rudder and put the nose down. Well, I don't want to float. I'm getting high. It's weird flying at this angle.
50, 40, 30, 20.
Powers at idle.
10, 5.
All right, touchdown. Oh, wow. That's full left. Whoa. Okay, so I've got a lot of authority. The nose is still up. Now I'm going to try to go... I'm going to keep it full right. I'm going to put the nose... Hell, I can't even put the nose down. Nose comes down. There's full right. Oh, let's see. Let's see if I can get airborne here before we go off the end of the runway. I don't know, guys. I don't know. That felt pretty good. I'm not going to lie. What we're going to do now, to confirm, let me try... To confirm this, I'm going to bump the winds up to 20 knots, and I'm going to try to do a normal landing on center line, okay? Team Vodka, yeah, it might be the Phoenix. You know, guys, I love the Phoenix. I'm the first to tell you that I love flying that airplane around. But I will also point out where I find some deficiencies, and that one I'm particularly struggling with. And I couldn't figure out, you know, was it my rudder sensitivity and all that? but I thought it was abnormally, how do I put it? It was more of a shock to me because the airplane is very good. So I keep doing everything with a real world technique. And then when I kept having the centerline issues, I'm like, okay, is it me or is it my sim? And we might be finding out something. I'm just gonna keep the gear down. We're flaps full. Here's our test. So I'm gonna double the wind. So where is my wind speed here? We're gonna do 20 knots, same direction, okay? 20 knots of wind, and on this landing, I am going to try to just land the airplane on center line and maintain directional control. So I'm gonna see where the runway is. Wow, look at the water. How awesome does that look down there, though? I'm gonna S-turn myself out. Because it's such a strong wind on this one, I'm gonna give myself a little extra room. Maintain about 1300 here. And we're even lighter, so we should, well, let's see, how light are we? Yeah, we're about 101,000 pounds. So that wind is gonna be pretty strong on this airplane when we come around, but we're gonna try it. I'm gonna just do a normal landing, and what I'm gonna do is I won't even have this cam up. You guys can take my word for it. I want to try to land on centerline as much as I can. And in fact, why don't we do a record of this as well? I'm going to launch the flight recorder so we can watch the replay. All right, so we're flaps full, gear is down. Let me see where the runway is. Oh yeah, that's plenty of room. So let's yank and bank it over. 10 for 10 on the sunset. I wonder if VLS is going to come up here as I turn. No. So much quieter in the Neo. Jeez. Alright, so let me center my camera. I've been looking at a turn here for so long, I don't know what center is. Alright. 130 knots. The camera is centered. Recording is on. And now we're going to just try to do an actual crosswind landing at 35 knots right now. So we are, this is severe. Are my lights on for maximum replay juice? Let me turn them on for maximum replay juice, because that's what's important. Not finding out flight models. I mean, this is, I remember seeing the runway out of this window one time going into LaGuardia. Talk about a crosswind. About like this, actually. I'm trying to get on center line, on speed. All right, so I see the runway out there.
500.
Start slowing down. Let's get on speed. Let's get on path here. We're a little high.
400.
Now with this type of wind, it's fine. Be probably gonna have a ground speed mini working a little bit. So I'm gonna do my best
200.
to just do normal centerline control on this.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20.
Decrabbing.
10. 5.
A little bit of right rudder. Nose is down. I've got right rudder. Now it's starting to slow down. A little bit more effectivity. All right. I mean, all right, guys. You saw it here first. Fly-by-wire 320 lands better in a crosswind than the Fenix does. Without a doubt. I promise you. And, I mean, it's not a knock. I'm not trying to like, compete these two airplanes. I'm highlighting this because I enjoy the Fenix so much. I want to see it fixed. I want it to be even better. So I'm not trying to, don't twist my words or my stream or anything like that saying, oh, the fly-by-wire is better than the Fenix sucks, all that. They both have their place, and I want to see which one's better so we can make them both really, really good, right? So let's watch the replay. Now, what's interesting on that one is it almost felt like it almost felt like as I was slowing down, the nose wheel became more effective, and then I had to use the opposite rudder, which was pretty cool to see. To verify, oh my word! If you haven't hit the like button already, can you just hit the like button for the sunset on this? Look, I don't even know what's going on anymore. But look at this crab. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. To absolutely verify it, I will do one more landing in the Phoenix with the doubled wind, and we will see. That will be, as of right now, I am convinced it's a Phoenix issue. At this point, look at this crab angle. So this is, yeah, we were 25 knots. All right, D crab. Should have had a little bit more right bank. Maintaining a center line, nose wheel is down. Look, keeping it, and now as I'm slowing down, nose wheel is having a little bit more effectivity. Effectivity, is that a word? Effectiveness? I mean, was it a perfect landing? No, I'm sitting here after 3 hours. I really got to pee, and we're trying to figure this out. But I'm almost convinced. Okay, pause that, end that replay. Yes, I want to end flight recorder. To absolutely confirm my theories, we have to do it one more time in the Phoenix. If I can do the same exact thing in the Phoenix, and if I can't maintain center line as good as that, then we know for a fact, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I feel like I'm a lawyer. You guys ever seen A Few Good Men? You can't handle the truth. All right. Where are we at here? We got to go back to airliners, Phoenix, liveries. Let's even fly it in the Phoenix livery. Okay, we're going to give them all the benefits of the doubt here. We're going to fly it in the Phoenix livery, same runway. I will set the same exact weather. Go pee. I would, but I want to find this out now. Same exact weight. I will set the same exact weight. So we were like 101,000 pounds, right? Sim Update 10 brings 4 new group features to ground friction. Charlie, that's great, and I'm looking forward to that. But what I'm thinking is it's not necessarily the only problem that we face. The ground friction issue is, I think, with slowdown deceleration rates. I think deceleration, well, I don't think. I know deceleration is way expedited in the sim now than normal. So back to flaps 1, speed brake up, airplane's coming to life. I'm going to let this load up here. Let me just verify, see if we can get a weight here. Let's go weight and balance. We're at, gross weight is 103,000 pounds. It's almost identical. So we're just going to leave it. It's like we were at 102. We were 101.7, so we're 102. By the time we come back around, burning fuel will be really, really close. So the weight is good. We're flaps 1. Now let's set the weather. Let's go weather here. I'm going to, for the sake of thing, we'll even set the time the same, right? About 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Live weather off. Everything is standard. We're going from clear skies. Add wind layer. Winds 180. Speed 20. Gusts from 180, but 0 on the speed. Okay, so gusts per minute are off. Same direction, 20 knots. Completed. Turn on lights for maximum juice on the replay. And we're gonna get to the bottom of this right now. All right. Brakes off. Airplane's on, right? Engines are on. Engines are on. Let's go. Tested with the BAE. We got chocks on. Hold the phone. Don't want to jump the chocks. I've only done that once. I mean, I have not, allegedly. At one point, some point in my career, allegedly may not have jumped the chalk, but nobody knows about that. I don't know about that. It's not real. Here we go. All right, immediately, I'm having a hard time maintaining center line on departure. There we go, let's get it back. Easy talk. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be real fun. Phoenix livery, 10 for 10 though. All right, yeah. Let's get that out of the way. Let's bring the power back. Let's get the auto thrust off. Give me the bird, give me the flight directors off. Let's level it out. I scraped engine 1 on that one. Steven, I got close. Peter, I would test it with the BAE, but I don't even have my yoke set up right now, so we're just going to do Airbus thing here. But I will, the next time I set up my yoke, we will test it with the BAE. Which I think we should do the Medellin airport. I think we're going to do a turn. I think we'll go Medellin, Bogota, and back in the BAE. That sounds like fun, doesn't it? All right, so there's the runway. 10 for 10 on the wing views. Let's go gear down. Want to arm the speed brakes. We have everything set the way it should be. That is armed, confirmed. Let's go flaps 2. We're Airbusing, as Flight Tech Sim says. Flaps 3. And I targeted 130 knots, so I don't know what the actual speed would be, but I'm going to bug 130 just as a reference. Keep everything as close to the same as we can. You can see my flight path vector is out about the same deflection as it was in the fly-by-wire. That's good. So we're already configured. We're on speed. Again, I'm going to give myself a little bit more room. That way I have time to be properly lined up. I'll get flight recorder ready. How far are we now? That should look at the water. All right, that should be far enough. Yanking and banking. Here we go. Pull up. Bank angle. Spin her around. Where's the dome light?
1,000.
Sync rate.
1,000 feet, not stable, check.
Sync rate.
Sync rate check, bank angle check.
Sync rate.
Where's the runway? Oh, there it is.
Sync rate.
Jeez. I'm having a harder time getting this one over there. Alright. I'm going to cut across here to try to get on final. I got to get my view a little bit off. 36 knots, it's about what it's showing in the fly-by-wire. It should go down to about 20 when we touch down. We're going to start recording now. Recorder is on, gear is down, flaps are full. There's the runway with 2 whites, 2 reds. And again, I'm not going to put the view weird. I literally want to try to land on center line as much as I can here. Carrying that crosswind, carrying that crab in here until we start to do our round out.
40, 30, 20, retard.
All right, aisle.
5.
Ooh, that was firm. That's full left rudder. I've got full left rudder. I have full left rudder. Nose is down, and now I'm far to the right. Now I got to get on it here with the nose wheel. That's full left rudder. Look at that. We're full left rudder. I try to get the flight control page. I don't want to crash. All right, let's do the replay. Let's do the replay. Guys, I was trying as hard as I could to keep center line. That was full left rudder. Steven, Airbus ball, 6.0. Here we go. So we're a little bit wonky over the numbers, I know, but here we go. So this is where it all comes to matter. Here's the round out. I didn't get enough flare in there. That was firm. We're down. All right, at this point, I'm full left rudder. Wing is starting to lift off. Nose wheel hits, and now we're turning. And then something happened where I could not overcome that wind. So, folks, I think we've got to the bottom of it. We've got to the bottom of the crosswind landing situation. I would say above 10 knots. I would put a personal limitation on the Fenix 320 at 10 knots crosswind max, because 10 knots we could do just fine. Anything more than 10 knots, you're going to have some issues. So, all right. It is what it is. I still love the Phoenix. I'm going to fly it a lot more. I'm going to continue to fly it. I'll probably, you know what, we might even have to update. I think we're going to do some, maybe I have to fly the Neo at some point too. We're going to give that a full update. I'm going to have to see where that is. But yeah, I mean, you guys saw it firsthand, live, same weight, same weather, same skill level. My approach in the fly-by-wire was a little bit better, but I mean, I could have easily put the nose on the left side of the runway if I wanted to in the fly-by-wire. So, guys, that is going to wrap it up. Fake Pilot 1-1, exactly. The weather veining is way too strong. Yeah, it definitely is. But, hey, we got to the bottom of it. I think our next flight, our next stream, if we do it tomorrow, what we might do is we might go Medellin, but this airport over here. Where's the other one? So there's an airport here. We might go SKND to Bogota and back in the 146. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that or not. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today on this stream. Hope you hit the like button for me on the way out. Hit the like button for testing Airbus crosswinds, right? I really have to go take a leak, so I'm going to sign off now. Appreciate everybody hanging out with me. It's been fun. Enjoyed the stream. Hope you enjoy the content. We will see you probably tomorrow. Not 100%, but probably tomorrow. So hit the subscribe button. Keep the notifications on. And until next time, everybody, I will see you then. I'm V1. Stay safe. Stay healthy. See you.